Let's get it. Tap on in. You know, this show gonna be dope, man. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. If you want to hear the truth beyond game politics. Now we're gonna talk about some game politics, but the truth goes beyond game politics. Some of these things are just racial issues, right? And you ain't got to be a gangbanger to understand what goes on in these streets if you really been in these streets. Because what people don't realize is gang banging ain't that's not the only element of the streets, right? You got drug dealers, you got hustlers, you got pimps, and many other lanes that you can get in when it comes to the streets. So you thought I was on mute? No, I wasn't on mute, bro. Just taking my time, man. You know what I'm saying? Uh the hustle game, right, can get more violent than the gang banging. Now, I'm not talking about selling nickels and dimes on the street corner. I'm talking about when you get up to like a half a thing, you get up to a kilo, or things of that nature. It gets pretty violent, man. You talk about. I'm gonna let y'all get up in here, man. I don't want to start too early. We're gonna let the people get up in here. Soon as we get to the 5 minute mark and we get 100 plus people, we're gonna dive into the conversation. We're gonna start barbecuing. We're gonna start cooking. Now, somebody asked me, why do LA podcasters tiptoe around this black and brown issue? It's like they're afraid to tell the truth about what's really going on. Well, a lot of them have Latino, Hispanic subscribers, and they don't want to they don't want to offend anybody, so they tread lightly when it comes to the black and brown issue. They don't really tell the truth, and I don't watch a lot of these dudes based on that fact. It's like they'll talk about the politics of blood and cripping and gangbanging all day, but when it's time to talk about what's really going on between blacks and Mexicans, silent as a church mouth. They're not going to say nothing, or they're going to downplay it and pretend like it's not really an issue. That's why I quit watching a lot of these LA podcasters, man, because they're not being real. Now, Snoopy Badazz, you can say whatever you want to say about Snoopy. I don't care about his gang affiliation. I don't care about the politics like that. Sometimes you have to get rid of the messenger and deal with the message, if you understand what I'm saying. Because sometimes God could send a bum to you to tell you the truth. Right? I'm gonna give you an example. I remember a smoker was telling us, hey man, y'all need to quit going up to the store late at night, man. Y'all need to get y'all blunts and y'all alcohol like early on in the day. Yeah, I'm dead serious, because anybody can tell you the truth. Listen, the truth can come, you never know what form the truth is going to come in. God might send a kid to tell you the truth. It might be a bum that's telling you the truth. This is my thing. I can learn from anybody, homie. I can learn from anybody. I can look at a bum and say, okay, his life is messed up, but what he's saying is actually true. He might be an alcoholic. He might be sleeping on a curb. He might be sleeping on the street corner, but it doesn't mean that he doesn't have some knowledge and wisdom or some understanding about life. There's a lot of stuff that people have went through. God might send you a messenger. God might send you a messenger, and the messenger might be a bum. Let me give you an example. In my neighborhood, we used to go to the store all day, back and forth, right? And an OG, he was a smoker, though. He was a smoker. You know what I mean? And people like, man, ain't listen, he is a smoker. I'm like, yeah, he a smoker, but some of the stuff he's saying is true. He was telling one of the young homies, stop walking back and forth to the store all day like that, bro. Because late at night, the ops be up here circling the store trying to catch somebody slipping, and the police be coming up here. Right? So he was trying to tell the homie, like, man, it's dangerous, man. Don't be walking up to the store late at night to get no blunts. The ops gonna catch you slipping. How do I know? He said, I'll be out here late at night. I see him, sir. I see him spinning the block. They be spinning the block all type of hours at night, right? And one of the homies, like, oh man, I ain't finna listen to him. He a smoker. I'm like, yes, he's a smoker, but it doesn't mean that he's not. He's still knowledgeable about life in the streets. Just because his life is messed up, don't mean that he can't give you some information, some life-saving information. You got to be mindful of stuff like that. So anyway, 3 days later, some of the young homies went up to the liquor store, right? And they got aired out. And the smoker was telling them, like, look, bro, stop walking up to the store late at night, bro. Even if you got your pistol, you just listen, homie. You either gonna run into the cops or the ops pulling up to this liquor store late at night, because I've seen the cops pull up, I've seen the ops pull up. So if I was you, get all your blunts, get all your drink early on in the day, so that you ain't slipping going up to this liquor store late at night, and then you're gonna mess around and run into the cops or either the ops. Either way, it's gonna be bad for you. So anyway, later on that week, one of the young homies not listening. Oh, he a smoker. He don't know what he talking about. Homie went to the store to go get some blunts. Soon as he leave the store, he leaves the store and he's walking back around the corner. The ops pull up and air him out. Doom, 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 laid him down. Laid him down. Now, if he would have had the mindset, see, this is me. I had enough common sense to know smokers be outside 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. So when you sleep or laid up with a broad, the smoker is still in the streets. So the smoker knows what's going on 2, 3 o'clock in the morning when you somewhere chilling. Sometimes the smokers know things that we don't even know in the hood. You dig what I'm saying? Because think about it like this. A smoker is up 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning trying to get his next fix. So when he's walking around the hood, he can see what's going on. He can see these unfamiliar cars. He see people lurking. He knows how. A smoker can tell you how many times the police spin the block after midnight. A smoker can tell you how many times he's seen the police spin the block at midnight. And then you know what the smoker used to tell me? Hey, Red, is hot. Be careful late at night, man. For the last 2 weeks, the police been spinning the block, and I've been seeing unmarked cars spinning the block. Be careful, youngster. I got love for you, man. Now, think about it like this. What if I had the mindset, oh, I ain't finna listen to him, man. He a smoker. That smoker knows a lot of stuff that you don't know. That smoker see a lot of things that you don't see. When you go into the club or you smoking a blunt, you laid over some woman, the smoker is out there lurking. The smoker is out there peeping game, peeping the scene, watching his surroundings. So one of the young homies had that mindset, like, I'm not going to listen to him because he a smoker. Dude walked up to the store later on that week and got aired out by the ops. They caught him coming from the liquor store late at night. The smoker just told us, hey, homie, I've been seeing these cats spin the block for the last week around 1, 2 in the morning. Be careful. So why did I say that? I said that to say this. An intelligent person can learn from anybody. So when it comes to some of this stuff that Snoopy is saying, is he right about everything? Absolutely not. But at the same time, he is right about a lot of this stuff that he's saying. Let's dive into the content, man. Let's dive into the content. I appreciate you all for pulling up. You already know. A smoker can mess around and save your life. Because like I said, when you sleep, the smoker is outside lurking. He see everything that's going on in the hood when you don't, when the homies don't see nothing. Anyway, let's get into this content. We're going to talk about this black and brown thing, these racial issues. And like I said, man.
He don't get no say-so. He don't get no say-so in this culture, bro. Milk ain't gonna do nothing to nobody. He just a dude that got on the gang, bro. We don't care about what Milk is talking about, bro. Milk, dead homies. We him, bro. Feel me? Tell him to talk about who his white mama is, who his white daddy is. Because he talk about all this other shit, but except where he come from. Who are you really? Like, we don't care about him, bro. He ain't never been outside like that, bro. Because he got a few pictures and smoked a couple blunts. Milk ain't nobody. Milk. I don't care about his opinion on that because it don't matter. He's a culture vulture. Getting put on a gang don't make you a part of a culture. It makes you a fan, my nigga.
Yeah, and we got to stop thinking it's like getting put on a gang doesn't mean that you tough. It doesn't mean that you're hard. There's a lot of weenies and busters that get put on gangs, right? So you got to be mindful of that too. There's many elements that come to with the streets, man. Like I said, I've done it. I've done a lot of stuff, homie. Like when it comes to the drug game, and I'm not talking about selling a couple of dime 20 little selling rocks on the corner or selling rocks to the people in your local neighborhood. Once you get a kilos and stuff like that, half a thing, and you start going out of town getting money, that's when the dope game get ugly. I done seen home invasions. I done seen individuals come after people's family. See, gangbanging is one thing. You get into it with a gang, they come back, they shoot anybody they see on the block. So you ain't got to deal with that personally. Now, in a dope game, when you met somebody over, they're not going to come to the block and shoot at one of your homies. They're going to find where you live. They're going to find where your family stay. So when they retaliate, it's going to be personal. It's going to hit home. So the dope gang can get wicked, way more dangerous than his gang banging. Because like I said, I can go to a hood right now, hit some cats up, bust on them, and do all that. And then go back to wherever I live at. Guess what they gonna do? Guess what the ops gonna do? They gonna go right back to that hood. Whoever they think did it, they gonna go to the hood. Whoever they think did it, they gonna go to that hood, and whoever looks like they from that hood, they gonna shoot them. The first people they catch hanging out that look like they gangbang, they gonna shoot them. But the person who did it can get away unscathed. See, in the dope game, you can't do that. Let's say I'm in a dope game and I rob somebody for some kilos, they're not gonna come to the block to just shoot at some random guys who's from the same neighborhood. They're gonna try to find out where my baby mama live at. They're gonna try to find out where my family live at. They're gonna try to find out where I rest my head. So that's what I mean when I say the dope gang gets way more personal than his gang banging. Because a gangbanger can do something to the opposite hood and go hide out somewhere. And when they come to retaliate, he ain't even on the block. Now some of the homies, you got homies on the block that had nothing to do with it. Now they finna get shot based on something that you did. So that's why I say it's a lot of cowards who be gangbanging. They'll go bang on some dudes, do something to some enemies, and go hide out. You know what I'm saying? But when it's time for those people to retaliate, all they're gonna do is pull up to the hood and catch the first people they see hanging out. But the person who did it, he's unscathed. Nothing happens to him. The drug gang gets way more personal. I'm not talking about no nickel and dime, no selling 20s on the block. Once you get up to half a thing, kilos, the game gets personal. They want to hit you where it hurts at. They want to find where your mama live. They want to find out where you rest your head. They want to find out where your baby mama live. They want to find out where your kids go to school, fool. So the dope game gets wicked, especially when you elevate to a high level in the dope game. It gets wicked. Things get real personal.
Dead on me, huh?
Now, what's interesting about his situation is he's obviously white or Caucasian, whatever term works best, but he's from a predominantly African American, or let me stop, predominantly Black American gang. You know what I'm saying?
He got put on a prominent, predominantly Black American gang. Don't mean nothing. LA gangbangers.
And listen, I don't want to keep stopping it, but I'm talking about cats who go out of town, not these local jokers who call themselves hustlers. I'm talking about guys who go out of town to get money, dudes who are flipping kilos, dudes who got property. I'm talking about big wigs in the game, taking those out of town trips, coming back with 30, 40, 50K, 100K. It gets personal once you elevate to that level. Gang banging is like, it can get personal, but don't get it twisted. for the most part, like I say, all they gonna do is drive through the hood and shoot the first people they see hanging out that look like they gangbang. That's what gangbangers do. So at that particular point, it's not even personal. They're just trying to shoot anybody from that neighborhood. They're not even trying to get the person who did it. As long as they get somebody from that hood, they look at it like, okay, we got some get back. But the person who pulled the trigger is nowhere to be found. He's somewhere hiding out. His homeboys on the block are walking around like sitting ducks. They finna get punished for something that you did. You pulled the trigger, now you somewhere laying low. They still on the block hanging out, and they don't even realize they don't even realize somebody's lurking, ready to put in that work over something you did. But you in a whole nother, you on the other side of town hiding out after you done sat up there and did that dirt. Now your homeboys are sitting ducks. It happens all the time when you gangbang. You get shot for something that the homies did. The only thing is you just from the same hood, but you had nothing to do with that. That's how it goes down, unfortunately.
Just put on any body. You don't see Deem the Great from 60s now? Getting put on a game in LA don't make you solid. That's been proved. They put on any body. Crip Mac, Dean the Great, Soldier Boy, Chris Brown. Do I just got to keep going? And I ain't got no problem with Chris Brown. I think he'll actually get in. But that don't mean nothing because he got put on the gang. We don't care. That don't mean he's still a culture vulture. He's just a culture vulture, a white boy that got put on the gang. That's it. He ain't gonna go. He ain't never knocked nothing down for over. Because if he did, they'd have more respect for him than they got for him. So we don't care. Milk is a culture vulture. He don't get no opinion when it comes to black people. He's just a nigga on the internet. You feel me? That like I said, he's another one. Wow, white over? Who wouldn't look at that on the internet? A white over? Never thought you would see that in his lifetime.
Now, why do you think you see things differently than Milk?
Why do I see it? Because I'm really from the culture. You're talking to somebody who mother or father was real gangbangers. My daddy died gangbanging. My mama was shot and paralyzed. Homie, she was out there gangbanging, bro. I'm somebody that's really from the culture. He's not. He just got put on a gang that put on anybody. That's why our opinions is different.
Gangs put on anybody for numbers, right? Sometimes numbers matter and sometimes they don't, but numbers matter. So this is why some of these gangs are big, because they put on a lot of people just for the numbers, even though the majority of those cats might be busters, but they do it for the numbers.
He's not from here. He's not from our culture.
And
he's not from the real LA culture.
And then you got smaller gangs out there that say, oh man, we don't put on anybody. The reality of it is your hood, you don't have a lot of recruits in your hood. See, geographical location means a lot. Now, if you're in an area where there's not a lot of black people, there's not a lot of black families moving to your hood, your gang ain't gonna grow because you don't have recruits. How do you get recruits? When you got a lot of black families living in a certain area and you got a lot of single mother raised males who are misfits, those are gang recruits. But if you live in an area where you don't have black families moving in that area, you're not gonna have recruits. So a lot of times those smaller gangs, they know each other. Big gangs, you got a lot of people who are from the same gang who don't know each other. They really don't even mess with each other. Smaller gangs say, oh, well, let me use an example. They might say, oh, man, the 60s. I'll use the 60s as, oh, man, they be putting on busters. They put on anybody. That's what a smaller gang might say. But then again, the smaller gang, they don't have many recruits in their hood. Like, let's say like a Geer gang. You don't have black families moving to like a Geer gang area, so they're not going to have a lot of recruits, which means the gang will never grow. It's going to be on the decline. All it takes is think about it like this. When it comes to a small gang, all it takes is for some of their main homies to go to jail and it's a wrap. Most of your riders are locked up. You don't have any recruits. You don't got young homies getting put on. So eventually that gang will fade. See, a gang like 18th Street or Rolling 60s, they can afford to lose 20 or 30 members to the penal system, to prison, because it's a big gang. They got more people that's getting put on, and they still got a lot of riders. But when you from a small gang with like 50 active members, and half of them go to jail, it's gonna be a wrap for your hood. Your hood is on life support now. You don't have recruits. You don't have no recruits. You don't have black families moving to that neighborhood. So eventually the gang is gonna die out. So when these small gangs say, no, you guys don't have no recruits, but they'll say, oh man, we just don't put on anybody. No, you don't have a lot of people that want to be from that gang. See, a gang like 60s, a lot of people want to be from that gang. These small gangs will say, we don't put on anybody. The truth is, nobody wants to be from that gang. That's what they'll say to save face. Nobody wants to be from that little ass gang. Oh man, we just don't put on anybody. Most people don't want to be from that gang, homie. Let's be honest, since we talking.
Culture. He's not.
Now,
I want somebody to ask him, Milk, where was you born at? What hospital was you born at? Where's your real mama at? Where's your real
Get the lights up.
daddy? Where they was from? How did you end up in LA? Nobody's asking him the right questions. I would like to have a sit down with him, but he ain't gonna do it because he's too scary. He ain't gonna be in the same one with me. And I need that. Like, look, you know, homie, that if you want to ask me who I want to fight, it's Milk 7-4. That's who I want to get down with, bro.
now I don't know about the fight part about it, but I'd love to see you guys have a face-to-face, a face-off.
I know you're gonna try to do everything positive, but yeah, I would like to get down with Milk 7-4, man, because you know Milk like, and the cool thing about Milk, right? Because I don't really care about this, bro. Like, I don't care who's a snitch, who's not a snitch, who gon' snitch, who about to snitch, because I'm not breaking the law any of these, bro. Feel me? You know what I'm saying?
Every hood got snitches, man. So when people say, oh, the Sereno, listen, man, you got every hood got snitches in it. So Southsider hoods, Bloods, and Crips. So when the people say, oh, yeah, you got snitches from that hood, man, there's snitches from every hood, bro. A lot of these guys are working with law enforcement to get some of those years shaved off their prison sentence. Come on, man. You got snitches in every hood, everywhere. Please understand that.
So I never had no problem with Milk, but Milk has a problem with me. You feel what I'm saying? Milk got a problem with me. He can't just, you know, shout me out, but like, yeah, Snoopy Badazz says Crip Mac is a culture vulture. He can't do that. Ex-Crip/Blood says Crip Mac. Okay, well, feel me? Son of is KKK, Caucasian white boy. Milk says this. You get what I'm trying to say? Instead of me saying Milk 7-4. Like, get out of here, bro. Like, that be playing. Like that, play with people. They do it on this internet that they would never do in a person's face, bro. Like how he disrespected Adam 22, but then when he sat down with him and is respectful. Like, bro, you can't be doing it, bro. Like, we got to stop talking down and talking bad about people. Even if you feel like a toad or whatever, if you are not going to say this to this face, you are a buster if you would say it on the internet, bro. And that's the category Milk in. He do a lot of and say a lot of on this internet that he ain't gonna tell nobody to their face, bro. Dead homies. So I don't with Milk, bro. He's a clown. He's a culture vulture. He's more of a culture vulture than Crip Mac.
Wow. And I know how many times you said that.
You said Crip Mac is a culture vulture. Why? Because I think Crip Mac is from San Bernardino County, like Ontario somewhere. Crip Mac is not from LA originally, but people say the same thing about Snoopy. They say Snoopy is really from the IE. He's not from Los Angeles or Los Angeles County originally. I'm just saying. So we're gonna call Crip Mac a culture vulture because he's not really from LA. He's really from Ontario, the IE. Well, Snoopy, they might say the same thing about you, bro. Snoopy is from Riverside. Snoopy is from the IE. Snoopy got put on an LA hood later on in life. Snoopy used to be from neighborhood Paris Crip out there in Riverside. I mean, I didn't heard a lot of things about that, but I don't want to make the podcast about that. I'm here to talk about these black and brown issues and why gangbanging is just stupid nowadays. So we'll get back to that in a minute.
I believe Crip Mac is a culture vulture, but you put Milk ahead of him?
Yes.
Yeah. Get the likes up, man. There's no reason that y'all shouldn't be blessing the like button. Why? Because the likes are free.
Milk is a culture vulture, bro. Dead homies all the way. Feel me? Until he can get up here and talk about his life story top to bottom. Let us know who his white parents is, where he come from. Bro, you a culture vulture, bro, because we don't even know you. You're practically an imposter. We don't care about you getting put on Hoover. LA gangbangers put on anybody. We seen that a million times. So that don't validate you for shit. Ain't no mover came out of shit. He had a homie got the show for shows. The homie didn't put in work. The homie, ain't nobody mover came out of shit that about him. He's just a white boy that got put on that took some pictures. That's it. Culture vulture.
Now, in my interview with Milk 74, he said you're pushing the narrative that black people are afraid of Mexicans in LA. And he claimed that you're actually the one who sounded scared. What's your response to that?
He said, I'm the one who's scared of what? Mexicans? How the fuck I'm scared of Mexicans and I'm the only one that's saying the truth?
Nah, you ain't the only one that's saying the truth. I've been calling this out. Way before you said anything about the Serranos and this issue, I believe King Supreme was one of the first ones who was really going all the way in and telling the truth about it. I made videos. I did a live stream last year saying that blacks can't go to East LA and start no hood. You can't go to El Monte and start no hood, but we let Mexicans start barrios in our hood. I seen Hoodie from the Hood do a video. I get what Hoodie was trying to. Some of these Mexican gangs were there. Not all of them. Some of them were there, but they wasn't around in large numbers like that, even if they were there. But in a lot of cases, they were not there. Like, look at 60s hood. F-13 was not there 30 years ago. The F-13s barely started coming to 60 hood, maybe like in the 90s, the late 90s. So they migrated over there, but they're not originally from that. Originally, they're not from that community, not the F-13s. My point is this. If you went to El Monte or East LA and tried to start a black gang, the Mexicans ain't going to go for that. They're going to shut you down. So blacks are willing to share their neighborhoods with Mexicans, but Mexicans ain't willing to share their neighborhoods with you. Now, let me say this. Let's say if you're in a predominant Mexican area, they're not going to tolerate blacks. Now, in areas where you got a decent black population, then it works like that. Then the Mexicans will be cool with you. Haven't you guys noticed that some of the most racist Mexicans are in areas where you don't even have black people, because Mexicans like to gatekeep their community. So you say to yourself, how could the El Monte Flores be that racist? They're not even around black people. How could the Mexicans in East LA be that racist? They're not even around black people. Well, it goes back to what I said. When Mexicans have the numbers, they don't tolerate black people, right? Now, when you think about the 18th Streets in Hoover Hood, that's one thing. But you got other branches of 18th Streets who do not like black people at all. The 18th Streets who live around the Hoovers, they can't afford to be racist. There's too many blacks over there. But let's talk about an 18th Street clique in like MacArthur Park. They can afford to be racist over there because there's no blacks. So what am I saying? The SAs only pretend to be cool with you until they get numbers. How do I know this? If you go to a predominant Mexican community, you're going to see how racist the Mexicans are, how they really feel about black people. They pretend to be cool with you when these SAs live in areas where blacks got a lot of numbers, they'll pretend to be cool with you. It's not that they're cool with you, because 18th Street got branches in other parts of the city. If you go to Pico Union, or let's say you go to one of those SA hoods in the valley, same gang, just different location. Some of those 18th Streets push NK. Now, the 18th Streets who live around the Hoovers, they can't afford to press NK. That would be suicide. There's too many blacks over there. So they want to blend in and get along, because it wouldn't be smart for them to go to war with a black gang in that area, and that black gang is strong with a lot of numbers. So you're not going to see their racism in areas like that. Go to MacArthur Park. Go to MacArthur Park and see how those 18th Streets over there get down. They ain't gonna tolerate your black ass. They ain't finna let you start no. They not finna let you start no Crip and Blood hood in MacArthur Park, Crip and Blood hood in Pico Union, or Crip and Blood in East LA, El Monte. Mexicans do not allow blacks to start gangs in their community. Matter of fact, them Mexicans don't even want you living in their community. East Los Angeles, let's go back to 2014. You got civilian black people who got their homes firebombed just for living in that community. So if they don't want you living there, you know damn well they ain't finna let you start no gang.
Talking about, like, he don't make no sense. That's scary. He don't even make no sense, bro. Like, the nigga speaking out is not the one who's scared. What is he talking about? That's what I'm saying. From the culture speaking out is talking about that he don't even know what the he talking about, bro. Oh, he the one who sound like he's scared. Like, I mean, you from a hood that share a gang with a whole Mexican gang that's NK on the other side of town. Ed homies. And he don't get no say so. Like I say, he don't even make no sense. He sound like he's the one who was scared of the Mexicans. Like, bro, shut up. That's what happens with like that they didn't even live this life or see life through the lens of real niggas got something an opinion on real. How the fuck I'm the one scared of the Mexicans and I'm the only one getting on this trying to speak up for my black people, something you ain't milk. You feel me? And wake them up and tell them the truth. Like, shut up. You just another trying to COINTELPRO agent trying to cause confusion, my nigga. Don't listen to milk, bro. Dead homies. Don't listen to blood. You don't even know what he's talking about. How the only that's up here speaking the truth about these mother scared of them. Man, please. Oh yeah, man, Milk came from the culture, bro. I don't care about what Milk got to say about anything, bro. I'm the only.
And can't nobody tell me I'm lying. Some of the most racist Mexicans in LA County don't even live around black people. So what does that tell you? The Mexicans who grew up around blacks, they'll tolerate you. They don't really like you, but they'll tolerate you. Listen. Just like you got a lot of Southsiders pretending to be cool with blacks because they want to be accepted in hip hop. So of course they'll pretend to be cool with you to be embraced in hip hop. There's a lot of Mexicans who can't stand black people, but they want to be accepted in hip hop. So they'll pretend to be cool with you because it's convenient for them to be cool with you. Matter of fact, it's beneficial for them to be cool with you at this point. If you don't believe me, go to Norwalk, go to Downey. Go to El Monte. Go to La Puente. Them Mexicans in those areas don't like black people at all.
Black that's getting up here telling the truth about the Hispanics and about the black people, bro. Ain't nobody scared of nobody. I'm probably the most fearless around here, though. Dead homies. But since I'm so scared, nigga, Milk, I'll beat your ass, though. You want to fight?
See, Mexicans will come up here and say, oh, no, it's not true. It's very true. The most racist Mexicans live in areas where you don't even have black people. So what does that tell you? When they have the numbers, they don't rock with you. They don't rock with you when they got the numbers like that. Come on, y'all, use common sense. I'm not saying every Mexican gang is like that, but a lot of them are. Don't get caught in El Monte. Don't get caught in East LA. They don't want you living in their community. They tolerate you in areas where black people are because they don't have the numbers. Now, once they get the numbers, it might be a little different. Let's talk about the Geer Gang Crip. If Geer Gang Crip had the same numbers as, let's just say, like a Harlem 30 Crip or the 40s, 18 Streets would have never tried what they tried with the Geers. Now, somebody from Geer Gang would say, oh, well, the beef started over a fight. I'm pretty sure it was already stuff happening before that fight that led up to 18th Street smoking one of their G homies. There were things happening that led up to that. See, the 18th Street, this is what Mexicans do. They observe the community. They say, okay, these guys are low on numbers. We could take them out. So they start doing nonsense that led up to the fight. And when the dude got beat up, they came back dumping and unalive, a reputable dude from Geer Gang. If Geer Gang Crip had the same numbers as the Harlem 30s, there's no way 18 Streets would have been pushing no line like that in a hood. 18 Streets knew that Geer Gang is a small hood. They don't have that many numbers. So what am I saying? The 18th Street sized them up a long time ago. They knew if we went to war with them, we can just push them out of here. It's not a lot of them. And it doesn't mean that gear gangs are punks. What I'm saying is they don't have a lot of numbers. It's a small gang. So what the Mexicans did was they sized them up. They said if we go to war with them, we can just push them out of here. 18th Streets has, listen, there's different factions of 18th Street. Let's talk about the 18th Streets in the Gear Gang hood. You got the Smiley Drives, you got the Alsace clique. Those are two those are two 18th Street cliques right there in Gear neighborhood. Right down the street, you got another 18th Street clique in the Marvin hood. Right down the street from there, there's another 18th Street clique in the Schoolyard hood. Then you got the Rancho Parks. Then you got the 18th Streets from MacArthur Park who come over there to hang out. So you got multiple cliques of 18th Street pushing a hard line on this small ass gang in West LA. And none of the Crips in the area, none of the surrounding Crips, none of the Crips that's adjacent to Gear Gang assisted them in that war. The Mexicans already knew that. Why do I say that? Because Mexicans study black people. They said if we go to war with the Gear Gangs, I bet money none of these Crips help them. The Schoolyards was cool with Gear Gang, but the Schoolyards didn't help the Gear Gangs when they went to war with 18th Street. Schoolyards maintained their relationship with the 18th Street. I ain't got a problem with them. You still got 18th Streets and Schoolyard hood right now. So you say to yourself, well, what's the point in being a Crip if none of these Crips get along? And you got this big ass Mexican gang going to war with this small ass Crip gang, and none of the Crips in the surrounding area assisted them. The 18th Streets was smart enough to know that if we push a hard line on Gear Gang, none of these Crips gonna help them. They already knew that. The 18th Street was playing chess.
I doubt he wants that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Maybe he does. You know, you never know,
That
right?
nigga can't see me, bro. I whoop milk ass, bro. He better shut up. That's what I'm talking about. It's the era of the Buster. You feel me? He can't even see Crip Mac. Crip Mac will whoop Crip Mac. I'll whoop Crip Mac ass, and Crip Mac will whoop milk ass. I don't care about what Milk talking about. Milk. Culture Vulture. What else he say?
Now, Milk 74 also said that black and Mexican gangs have had
Schoolyard and Gear Gang is cool, right? You got an 18th Street clique and Schoolyard hood. You got an 18th Street clique and Gear Gang hood. You had old boy from Gear Gang said himself. He said we was cool with the Venice show lines, the 60s, and the Schoolyards. But he said when it was time to go to war with the 18th Streets, we didn't have no friends. We didn't have no friends. He said when that war kicked off with the 18th Streets, he said, man, the Gear Gang didn't have no friends. Schoolyards quit hanging out with them. You know, none of the Crips in that area assisted them. And now you might say, okay, well, the Marvins don't get along with Gear Gang, so why would the Marvins help them? Okay, but check this out. The 18th Streets was shooting a lot of random innocent people. If they couldn't find nobody from Gear, they would shoot anybody black in that community. See, this is the thing when you go to war with small hoods. When you're going to war with a small gang, it's hard to find them. Because it's not like you're going to hit a neighborhood and see them hanging out because it's a small gang. So it's easier for small gangs to hide out. Now, if you're from a gang like the 60s or 18s, it's easy to find somebody to shoot from 60s because there's a whole lot of members. If you pull up the 60 hood right now, you're going to see a lot of people outside that's from 60s. But when you're dealing with these small gangs, it's hard to catch them. It's easier for a small gang. It's easier for a small gang to hide out. So when the ops come looking for them, you really can't find them. See, this is the advantage that the Gear Gangs had on 18th Street. Now, Gear Gang might say, well, the 18th Streets wasn't hanging out either. Well, I guess what? They got a gang injunction. They really can't hang out like that in the open no more. They got to be strategic about how they move because they got a gang injunction. But let me say this. It's easier to catch an 18th Street slipping than it is to catch somebody from Gear Gang slipping. Because when you're dealing with a small gang, it's hard to catch them because they're really not outside like that. And if you're dealing with a small gang, they're mobile. They might be over here. They might be there. Those small gangs don't congregate in one area like that. But when you're going to war with a big gang, it's easy to catch somebody from a big gang slipping, because the more active a hood is, the easier it is to catch somebody from that hood slipping. A small gang where people really don't hang out like that, it is hard to catch up with them. So when you think about the Geer gang in the 18th streets, when the 18th streets couldn't find nobody from Geer, they started shooting random black people because they was looking for somebody. They was looking for Geers and couldn't find them, so they just started shooting random black people in Geer neighborhood. Now you might say, well, the Marvins, listen, once they started shooting random innocent black people, all the Crips in that surrounding area should have said, okay, this is a black thing now. You made this is racial now. You ain't finna shoot down innocent black people and say, oh no, we cool with y'all. We just got a problem with Geers. Nah, man, you're shooting innocent black people in Geer hood. You just made it a racial thing. The West Boulevards, the schoolyards, the Marvins should have said, okay, you know what? For one, we're all black. For two, we're Crips. That's what y'all got in common. So at some point, y'all should have said, you know what? We're not going to let these Mexicans come over here and shoot innocent people and then say, oh, that's just between us and the Geers. Nah, it ain't just between you and the Geers. You shooting innocent people that ain't even gangbangers. So all them Crips in West LA should have put their differences aside and say, we got to deal with these Mexicans. I'll be damned if y'all shoot down black people and we sit up here and say, oh, we cool with them. That's just between them and the Geers. Nah, man, that didn't make sense to me.
War is in the past, but still coexist in the same neighborhoods today. Do you think that proves the situation isn't as extreme as some people might say?
See, this is how you know he an idiot. So let me put on my lens to the street culture that Milk don't possess, because he's a culture vulture. For one, homie, Hispanic gang, Sureños, feel me? They only act like they like black people when the black people outnumbers them. That's the only time. And black people are passionate. See, a Hispanic can move into a black neighborhood and start a gang. The blacks accept it because, like I said, they fear them, right? But a black can't go to none of these outskirts cities that's predominantly Hispanic in Sureños and start a gang or even just live there.
Snoopy right about that. Like, regardless of how you feel about Snoopy, he's right. You can't go, black people can't go to a predominant Mexican area and start a black gang. No Mexicans ain't gonna go for it, right? Let me give you an example. First Street East Coast used to be in the Aliso Village housing projects back in the 90s, right? Back in the 80s, the 90s, maybe like the early 2000s, right? Before, everything, got shut down. You at the Quattro Flats. You got the Quattro Flats over there. That's a Mexican gang, the East LA Dukes, the Capones, and the TMC. So you got 4 Mexican gangs in these projects and 1 black gang. Most of those Mexican gangs didn't even get along with each other, right? But when First Street East Coast was bringing a lot of smoke to the Quattro Flats, or the Permetta Flats or the Quattro, I believe it was the Quattro Flats. East Coast was giving the Quattro Flats the business. Guess what happened? All those Mexicans put their differences aside for the moment to deal with those blacks, to get those blacks out of there. Because Mexicans over there understood the bigger picture. Those Mexicans didn't say, oh man, that's just between the East Coast and the Flats. You know what the Mexicans said? We're all Mexican. We might not like each other or get along, but we got to put our differences aside to run these blacks out of here. And that's exactly what they did. The First Street East Coast and the Aliso Village had to go to war with all those Mexicans over there. When in reality, they was only beefing with the Flats initially. So they went from beefing with the Flats to beefing with all the Mexicans in that area. And guess what? You don't have black people moving to East LA. So there's no more recruits. There's nobody to recruit. People go to jail, people die, there's no new recruits. Eventually, the gang in that area is going to die out. If you don't have black families moving to that community, you're not going to have nobody to recruit. You're not going to have new put-ons. That is how a gang goes extinct. There's other reasons why too, but that's one of many. The moral of the story is the Mexicans in East LA put their differences aside to go to war with the first three East Coast. Now, when you think about the Geer gang in West LA, when the 18th Streets was shooting innocent black people in Geer Hood, you know what the Crips in the surrounding area said? Man, that's just between Geer and 18th Street. We ain't got nothing to do with that. Yeah, homie, but they shooting innocent black people. Black people that's not even from Geer gang are getting hit. Innocent black folks are getting hit. You still gonna say this? You still gonna say it's between Geer and 18th Street? When 18th Street they shooting random black people? Oh, that's just between them and the Geer gang. Really? Whatever happened to being black first? Whatever happened to standing on black business? Whatever happened to say, okay, guess what? We're all black and we all Crips. Those are two things y'all got in common. All of y'all are black and all of y'all are Crips. So when that war kicked off between the Geer gang and the 18th Streets, nobody helped them. None of the Crips in that area helped them. The Crips in West LA left Geer gang hanging. I'm gonna be real with you. The Crips in West LA left Geer gang hanging. Oh man, that's just between them and the 18th Streets. We ain't got nothing to do with that.
You understand what I'm saying? So he don't even know what he talking about. But me, they only getting along with the gang because the gang got the numbers over there, like the 18th Street Hoover locals. They can't beef with the Hoovers and the Hoovers. It's too many of them. You get what I'm saying? So of course they gonna stay in line, but let it get to a point they get deeper than the Hoovers. You gonna see their true colors there. That's what I'm talking about. And awesome for me. Go look at El Monte. Go look at Rosemead. Go look at Monterey Park. Go look at Corona. Go look at Westlake. What does he talk? Let a black gang or a black family move in any one of these neighborhoods and watch how they get harassed. And I'm speaking off of full experience. I'm not speaking off of what I think the culture is, what I heard like milk. I'm speaking off of full experience. Like my stepdad Dice, right? His brother is Baby Sharnbo from Faux Trade Gangsta. His real name Terry. He's like my uncle. What's up, Terry? He came to my mama. My mama moved to Rosemead for a little bit and she had to go. She moved to Rosemead. Terry came over there to see my mother and his brother walk back to the bus stop to leave. A car full of Hispanics pulled up on him and was like, hey, you in the wrong neighborhood, fool. He said, man, I'm just getting on the bus. I'm just trying to go. They weren't trying to hear that. They jumped out, packed him out, and stabbed him and told him don't come around here no more. That's how they get down when the city is predominantly them and the neighborhood is predominantly them. Go, let me see a black family or a black hood go to any one of these Hispanic cities or neighborhoods and do what they do in South Central LA. They got their own cities, Torrance, Southgate, all them cities that I named, El Monte, Rosemead. They got all them cities and they got a piece of our cities.
I've been saying that. See, Snoopy is saying things that the King Supreme been saying. What did I say? I said black people share their hoods with Mexicans, but Mexicans got areas where they don't share nothing with blacks. I've been saying that for years on this platform. Snoopy ain't said nothing new. How many of you guys in the comment section remember me saying that? Everywhere there's a black gang in Los Angeles County, they're sharing that neighborhood with some Mexicans, with a Mexican gang, except for the jungles. And maybe like a few other hoods, but 90+% of black gangs in Los Angeles County share their hood with Mexicans. But if you go to El Monte in East LA, those Mexicans don't share their hood with black people. You go to Downey, Mexicans don't share their hood with black people. You go to La Puente, Mexicans don't share their hood with black people. Blacks are sharing their hoods with Mexicans, but you got neighborhoods in LA where Mexicans don't share their hoods with blacks at all. They don't even want you living over there. So I've been talking about this for years, way before Snoopy done said it. You can go all the way back to 2023, 2022. I've been saying that. Blacks in Los Angeles don't have their own communities. Why? Because they share with Mexicans. But when you go to a predominant Mexican community, they're not going to share their hood with no black folks. Let me say this to the Hoovers. The Hoovers shared Not all, it just depends on what clique. You got a Hoover clique that shares their neighborhood with 18th Street, right? 18th Streets are not from that community. They moved to that community later in the game. That's not their hood originally. The 18th Streets that's migrated to Hoover Hood later on in the game. And the Hoovers accepted them. They wasn't tripping off of them. But let me tell you this. If Hoover went to MacArthur Park or Pico Union and tried to start a Hoover set over there, you know what the Mexicans gonna do? They gonna shut it down. They ain't finna go for that. So you let Mexicans start hoods and you let Mexicans start barrios in your hood, but you can't start a hood in a barrio. I don't care how cool Hoover think they are with 18th Street. Let's say the Hoovers moved to Pico Union and tried to start a set over there in the 18th Street hood over there in MacArthur Park. 18th Street and MacArthur Park, they're not gonna let Hoover start no set over there. But the Hoovers allowed the 18th Street to start a set in their hood. I'm not saying that to disrespect the Hoovers. I'm just letting you know, I'm talking about the mindset of LA gangbangers, black LA gangbangers. You let Mexicans set up shop in your hood, but they would never let you set up shop in their hood, not in no predominant Mexican community. No, if it's a community that's half and half between blacks and Mexicans, yes, you can start a hood over there. But MacArthur Park, Pico Union is 90-something% Mexican. There's no way they're going to let a Hoover start a hood over there. Why? Because those Mexicans over there are NK. Even if they're not writing it on the wall, that's really how they feel. They ain't finna let no black start no gang over there in Pico Union. But they can move to South Central and start a hood over there. They can move to Inglewood and start a hood over there. But them Mexicans ain't finna let your black ass start no hood in a barrio. Them Mexicans ain't going for that.
Stabbed them and told them don't come around here no more. That's how they get down when the city is predominantly them and the neighborhood is predominantly them. Go, let me see a black family or a black hood.
If the Hoovers tried to go to Shadow Park or the Columbia Psychos and Pico Union, them Mexicans, they're not gonna let the Hoovers start no Hoover hood in that predominant Mexican community. They're not. This right here is a message to blacks all across LA, to blacks all across the United States of America. Mexicans are not going to let you start a black gang in a predominant Mexican community. Them essays ain't going for it, homie. At least the Jungles was smart enough to tell the 18s, like, nah, y'all can't start no hood over here. This is why the Stone love, my nigga. Stone love. This is why the Stones is one of the realest sets in Los Angeles. People might not want to admit it, but the truth is the truth. When 18th Street tried to start a clique in the Junkles called the Ursula Locos, the Stones shut it down, homie. They shut it down instantly. They said, nah, we not finna share no hood with y'all, homie. Y'all got to get up out of here. Y'all got to bounce. And then eventually gunplay ensued. The Black P Stones was smart enough to know that, no, if we let these 18 streets get deep in our hood, they're going to become a problem later. So let's eliminate that problem right now. Before they get deep, let's give them the boot. Why would I let you get deep in my hood just so you can create problems for us later? We're going to get rid of you right now. The time to get rid of you is now. And that's exactly what the Stones did. They pressed a hard line and said, no, y'all got to get up out of here, homie. You ain't finna start no set over here. Bounce. So that was a smart move by the Black P Stones. Listen, homie, why would we let 18th Street get deep in our neighborhood? So that they can cause problems later. The Black P Stones was thinking ahead of the game. They said, nah, this is going to be a problem later. We got to get rid of them now.
Go to any one of these Hispanic cities or neighborhoods and do what they do in South Central LA. They got their own cities, Torrance, Southgate, all them cities that I named, El Monte, Rosemead. They got all them cities, and they got a piece of our cities. They ain't got but let the shoe be on the other foot. They not gonna let us set up shop nowhere, bro. But things like that, Milk 74 don't know. Cause he not really from the culture. He don't understand it. Oh man, they cool cause we right here with them. Shut up. Shut up.
Now, there was a very, very famous case that's been talked about recently, even on the political side of things, where there was a black family that was their house was firebombed by some Hispanic gang members. You know, very famous case.
Are you talking about the one? Was it Aliso Phillips, like East LA?
Something that,
Yeah, I know about that.
yeah, and it was just a regular family. So
That's East LA. Now
what
let
you're
a black
saying,
gang go to East LA. See, that's how you know Milk don't know what he talking about, bro.
Milk don't know what the hell he talking about. He don't. Oh, it ain't so much of an issue. Okay, Milk. If it ain't no issue, how Milk tried to say, well, this is what Milk 74 said. Well, there's blacks and Mexicans who coexist today, and there's no problems. Okay, you missing the point. Go to MacArthur Park and try to start a Hoover set over there, and see if them 18th streets welcome you with open arms. I mean, you guys are cool with them in South Central, right? You guys are cool with the 18th streets in South Central. If Hoovers went to MacArthur Park or Pico Union and tried to start a set over there, the Mexicans ain't going for it. Not only will they have problems with the 18th Street, they're gonna have problems with the other surrounding Mexican gangs who don't want your black behind living in their community. I don't care what nobody from LA has to say. I'm telling the truth. You think you cool with the 18th Streets in South Central? Maybe you're cool with them in South Central. Take your black ass to Pico Union and start a Hoover set over there and see if the Mexicans let that slide. See if the SAs say, okay, cool, you can start a set over here. You know the SAs ain't going for that. And no Pico Union, MacArthur Park. They don't give a damn that their homies in South Central are cool with Hoovers. It's beneficial for the 18th Streets in South Central to be cool with Hoovers. It's too many blacks in that area. So, of course, they're not going to be on no racist BS over there. But in Pico Union, MacArthur Park, they're very racist because that's a predominant Mexican community. Hoover, let me tell you something. I got love for Hoover. Salute to y'all. But you can't. The 18th Streets are not going to let you start a Hoover clique in Pico Union. They're not going to let you do that. So what am I saying? Stop allowing them to start barrios in your hood because you can't start no hood in a barrio. Let's go.
They cool because we right here with them. Shut up. Shut up.
now there was a very, very
You can't go to East LA and start no black hood. You can't go to El Monte and start no black hood. They wish you would come over there and try to start a black hood. Them SAs ain't going for that.
famous case that's been talked about recently, even on the political side of things, where there was a black family that was their house was firebombed by some Hispanic gang members. You know, very famous case.
Are you talking about the one? Was it Aliso Phillips, like East LA?
Something that,
Yeah, I know about that.
yeah, and it was just a regular family. So
That's East LA. Now
what
let a
you're
black
saying,
gang go to East LA. See, that's how you know Milk don't know what he talking about, bro. See, I understand the mind of these racist Sureños, bro. Of course, they're gonna act like they like us, or to get in the rap game, or to get in and to be in our neighborhood when we outnumbered. Of course, but let them outnumber us. Let them control the rap game. They ain't gonna give a shit. Everybody knows that. What he talking about? He don't even know what he's talking about, bro. He just on here just trying to combat what I'm saying because I know he's a like nigga. This is the truth of it. The is he talking about?
now, do you think some of those deeper or situations like you talked about with your uncle and the firebombing situation like that, do you think that
Those Mexicans in East LA firebombed some black people apartments just for living there. Them Mexicans in the Hawaiian Gardens neighborhood firebombed black people houses and apartments just for living there. These are predominant Mexican communities. They don't want blacks living over there. Some of the most racist Mexicans in LA live in neighborhoods where you don't even have blacks. And these are some of the most racist essays you can find. They live in areas where there's no blacks. So you say to yourself, if they don't live around black people and there's no black gangs in those areas, how come these are some of the most racist Mexicans you can find? It goes back to what I said. When Mexicans have the numbers, they gatekeep their communities, and they do everything in their power to keep blacks out of there. They do everything in their power to stop blacks from starting a gang in their community, because they view that black population as a threat. They view that black population as a threat to their dominance. So what do? They run you up. They run you out of there before you get deep, before you multiply in numbers. That's exactly how Mexicans get down. Why you think those Mexicans in East LA firebombed those black people apartments? They didn't want blacks living over there. They felt like that black population might be a threat to their dominance. So what did they do? Nah, we got to firebomb these apartments and get rid of these blacks. We don't want these blacks living in our community. That's the mentality of Mexicans in East LA, El Monte, Hawaiian Garlands, the harbor area, Wilmington, and San Pedro, Downey. When you go to these predominant Mexican communities, they don't want blacks living there, bruh. I got many examples that I could show you to prove what I'm saying. Snoopy Badazz ain't lying about that. When he said this, he said, and I said this way before Snoopy. I got content from 2023 talking about how blacks allow Mexicans to start gangs in their communities, but you can't start a gang in a barrio. They don't even want your black ass living in East LA. This is why they firebombed the apartments to run blacks out in the first place. They don't even want you living over there, let alone thinking that you can start a gang.
It's ever a situation that can be fixed, or because of the numbers and the demographic change, that'll always.
It's the numbers. Wherever they get deep at, and it's more of them, they're going to push your black ass out. That's just how that goes. Like.
Now, is Snoopy lying about these Mexicans? Oh, because I know what a lot of LA gangbang, man, Snoopy, a snitch. I don't care about none of that. Is he telling the truth about these Mexicans and Southsiders? Anybody that's from California in the comments right now, let me know, is Snoopy Badazz lying about the relationship between blacks and Mexicans in Los Angeles? Is he lying about that? Never mind how you feel about him. Is he telling the truth about the black and brown issue? Because I've been talking about this for years.
Like us, or to get in the rap game. Was it Aliso Phillies, like East LA?
Something that.
Yeah, I know about that.
Yeah, and it was just a regular family. So
that's East LA. Now let a black gang go to East LA. See, that's how you know Milk don't know what he talking about, bro. See, I understand the mind of these racist Sureños, bro. Of course, they're gonna act like they like us, or to get in the rap game, or to get in and to be in our neighborhood when we outnumbered. Of course, but let them outnumber us. Let them control the rap game. They ain't gonna give a shit. Everybody knows that. What he talking about? He don't even know what he's talking about, bro. He's just on here just trying to combat what I'm saying because I know he's a like nigga. This is the truth of it. The f is he talking about?
Now, do you think some of those deeper or situations like you talked about with your uncle and the firebombing situation like that, do you think that that's ever a situation that can be fixed, or because of the numbers and the demographic change, that'll always.
It's the numbers.
Let me tell you something. When they was firebombing those houses, all blacks should have showed up to Hazard Gang and gave them the business. Let me tell you something. Let's say we're in Atlanta, Georgia right now. We're in Atlanta, Georgia. You got Mexicans out there, right? They ain't as deep as they are in California, not by a long shot. But if a Mexican firebombed a black person's house in Atlanta, do you know all those blacks would have came together and said, hold on, where is this hood at? They would have swarmed that particular Mexican hood. Because one thing about blacks in the South, especially when it comes to other races, they gonna drop that beef. They gonna say we black. They ain't gonna tolerate. If you go to Birmingham, Alabama, right, you got Crips, Bloods, and GDs in Birmingham, Alabama. If a Mexican firebombed a black person's house, all those blacks gonna pull up to that Mexican hood to bring them some smoke. Why? Because they're gonna put black first before gangbanging. If Crips and Bloods would have came together and said, hold on, man, nah, we ain't going for that. We're going to pull up to that set over there and give them the blues. That would have sent a cold message to the Mexicans. Even if you attack civilians, there's going to be a price to pay. You firebomb the house of somebody black, that's some Ku Klux Klan behavior. Every black person in Los Angeles should have been pissed off about that, ready to do something about it. You don't see black people firebombing the houses of Mexicans just because they moved to a predominant black community. We don't act like that. We don't do stuff like that. Every black in Los Angeles should have been pissed off about that, ready to put in some work. I mean, you put in work on other black people for just looking at you wrong. You put in work on black people just for looking at you wrong. You mean to tell me a Mexican firebombed the house of innocent black people and you dudes ain't mad about that? You ain't pissed off about that? It doesn't bother you, but you ready to unalive another black man just for looking at you a certain way? I mean, make it make sense.
Wherever they get deep at, and it's more of them, they're going to push your black ass out. That's just how that shit goes. Like, most Sureños don't like us. And see, Milk ain't never been to prison. See, he don't know this. He don't see. Let me keep talking from experience and experience that milk culture vulture ass don't have, right? So he said that they don't like bro, in the California prison system, the Sureños rise with the Aryan Brotherhood and the whites against the blacks, bro.
That's why I don't listen to the majority of these LA podcasters, because all they talk about is Crip and blood and all that stupid stuff. But when it comes to the black and brown issue, they ain't got nothing to say, or they downplay it and pretend like it's not really a problem. That's why I can't respect the majority of these LA gangbangers who are podcasters, because they're not telling the truth about what's really going on. They're too afraid to tell the truth, so they don't say nothing about it. When you firebomb somebody's house just for living in your community, that is Ku Klux Klan behavior. You might as well be like the Klan in Mississippi. You might as well be like the Klan in Alabama. Them people didn't do nothing to you. Them people weren't trying to start no gang. They said, no, we're going to firebomb their apartments just because they black. And we don't want blacks living over here. We're going to send a cold message to run these few blacks, the handful of blacks who do live here. We're going to send a cold message to get them up out of our community. We don't want blacks living over here. That's Ku Klux Klan behavior. Black people deal with stuff like that in Mississippi. Black people deal with stuff like that in Alabama. But then you move to California and tolerate the same Ku Klux Klan behavior from Mexicans. And you done already dealt with that from rednecks in the South. Make it make sense. I've been talking about this, homie. I don't get up here and talk about Crip and blood issues, who snitch. I talk about black empowerment. I talk about black and brown issues. 90% of your LA podcasters ignore these black and brown issues, and they talk about Crip and blood BS all day. Who snitched? Who a coward? Who didn't catch the fade in the county? But they never talk about these black and brown issues. And if they do talk about it, they're going to walk on thin ice. They're going to tread lightly. They're not going to keep it a stack with you. They're going to water it down because they're too afraid. They're too afraid that they might offend somebody. But when they want to disrespect a Crip, when they want to disrespect a blood, or when they're ready to do something to a black person because they don't like how you looked at them, they don't sugarcoat nothing. They go hard in the paint when it comes to stuff like that.
Don't like us. And see, Milk ain't never been to prison. See, he don't know this.
You ain't got to go to prison to know that the white boys and the Southsiders had a loose alliance. You can see that in the county. I seen that in LA County. I seen that in San Bernardino County. I learned that in the county jail. I didn't have to go to prison to know that when everything hits the fan, these Mexicans and these whites will align to go against us. You ain't got to go to prison to know that. You can learn that just by going to the county, homie.
See, let me keep talking from experience and experience that milk culture vulture ass don't have, right? So he said that they don't like bro, in the California prison system, the Sureños rise with the Aryan Brotherhood and the whites against the blacks, bro. The same mother that was talking about sending their ass back to, they ride with them in the pen against us.
Now, that's a part that's crazy to a lot of people. It's
hold
like,
on. So if I'm wrong, why is it that? That's how you know, because milk ain't never been no where. That's what I'm saying. This internet is giving niggas platforms and let them speak on that.
We got 400 people in the building. We need 400 likes. I need you guys to do a better job on them likes. Listen, bro, this is the moral of the story. Mexicans, listen, they're going to be upset, but I'm not lying about nothing. I told the truth. You know damn well what I'm saying is true. You can't go to no predominant Mexican neighborhood and start a black gang. Them SAs ain't going for it because Mexicans gatekeep their community. The only time Mexicans share neighborhoods with blacks is when there's a lot of blacks in that area. But if you're talking about a predominant Mexican community, they're not gonna let blacks set up shop over there. They're not gonna go for it. So in reality, they're sharing this neighborhood with you because they have to. But if the numbers ever switch in that community to the point to where it's more of them than you, then you're gonna have the same issues that Geer Gang is having with the 18th Streets. 18th Street got deeper in Geer Gang hood than them. Well, they was already deeper than Geer Gang in the first place, but I'm talking about that particular clique. The Smiley Drive 18th Streets knew that they were deeper than the Geer Gangs, and eventually they knew they was gonna press a hard line on them. For one. For two, they knew none of the blacks in the surrounding area would help them. The 18th Streets already knew that. The 18th Streets did their homework. The 18th Streets, listen, they understand how divided Crips are. So they use that to their advantage. When the 18th Streets went to war with Geer Gangs, they used this to their advantage. What did they use to their advantage? They knew that Crips are not aligned. Let me reword that. The 18th Streets used that to their full advantage. They knew that Crips are separated. They're not together. It's called divide and conquer. So if the Crips are already divided, if we put in work on the Geer Gang, we already know that none of these Crips in the surrounding area is going to help them. So 18th Streets use that to their advantage. We can just pounce on these dudes and put in work on them, and none of the Crips going to help them. The 18th Streets already knew that Geer Gang was a small hood, for one. For two, they knew none of the Crips in the surrounding areas would help them. The 18th Streets, they used that to their advantage. The 18s did their homework. So when it was time to go to war, they already knew they would have the advantage just based on the numbers that they have, for one. And for two, the Crips ain't unified over there in that area. The 18s already knew that, homie. You study your enemy. You study your environment. What are their weaknesses? What are their strengths?
Don't even have no experience in. Them same in the Hoovers, the 18th Street logos, ride with the white boys in the pen. I don't believe in that black and brown unity, bro. Until that hit the prison system, that is all air to me, bro. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in none of that. Do I think all Serranos are prejudiced? No. I believe that there is some good Serranos, but for the most part, 99.9% of them are prejudiced, bro. And if they haven't displayed their prejudice qualities because they're not deep enough yet. But soon as the numbers get more to y'all, not even, because they ain't even gonna try it then. But soon as it get over y'all, they gonna push y'all out y'all hood. That's the truth.
That's wild, man, because, you know, to think that so what brings that about? Why in prison it's like that, the way they ride with the racists?
Because they don't like blacks, like I said. They don't like blacks, bro. That's where it breaks down to. They don't like blacks. They call us dirty. They call us mayetes. They say we lazy. You understand what I'm saying? They don't like us, bro. I don't like, you feel me? And it is what it is. Am I racist? No. But I am racist against racist people. I will display some racist qualities if a person displayed them qualities to me. I just mirror my opponent. And I'm just letting the Serranos know, I believe y'all racist. Feel me? So, but he said, I'm scared of the Mexicans. So if I'm scared of him, why am I saying this? Like, bro, he don't even know what he's talking about, bro. Like, y'all need to stop platforming that clown, bro. Because you don't even make no sense. Keep that on Milk TV and talk to your little suburban fan base, bro, and the busters that believe your bro. Feel me? Real niggas don't believe that. Niggas really had their foot in the paint. Really, that motherfucker lived.
All right, let's go to the next clip. Let's get. I want some of my people to bless that like button. It ain't nothing, man. All I'm saying is this. Now you will have Mexicans saying, "Oh, that's not true." Oh, it's very true. And I had the proof. I'm not just saying this without proof. I'm from Los Angeles, born and raised. You know Mexicans in East LA don't like blacks like that. You know Mexicans in El Monte don't like blacks like that. You know Mexicans in El Monte don't like blacks like that. You know Mexicans in Southgate and San Pedro and Pico Rivera, Downey, Norwalk, they don't like black people in those, they don't like blacks in areas like that. Mexicans in those areas would never share their hood with black people. And if you don't believe me, go over there yourself and you could see this. You can see everything I'm talking about. The messages are not going to let you start no black gang and no predominant Mexican community. They don't even want you living over there. So if they don't want you living over there, you know damn well they ain't going to let you start no gang. Black people, y'all got to wake up, man, and quit being stupid. All this Crip and blood stuff, all this Cripping and blood in LA is dumb at this point. South Central Los Angeles is majority Mexican Latino. Compton is majority Mexican Latino. In another 5 years, you're not even going to have a hood anymore. You can't even call it a hood no more. It's a barrio. So what are you fighting for at the end of the day? That hood that you claim now is majority Mexican Latino. Once you become the minority in your community, it ain't your hood no more. You got another dominant group taking charge now. They represent the majority of the population. They have the majority of the businesses. The majority of the police officers are Latino. The majority of the gangbangers in this neighborhood are Latino. The majority of the businesses, the majority of all these businesses are Latino. You can't even call it your hood no more. So at the end of the day, what are you fighting for? You're being pushed out by a whole nother race. You're being pushed out by a whole nother demographic. But you still want to bang Crip and blood and you holding on to threads? If you're, listen, once you become the minority in that community, you can't even call it your hood no more, man. And I know a lot of LA people don't want to hear that, but damn it, I got to tell you the truth. I ain't finna sugarcoat nothing.
Think about this whole situation, specifically when it comes to the West Coast.
Man, it's time for LA to do something new, bro. You know what I'm saying? That these old ass crusty gangs is played the fuck out. The street code is dead. Ain't nobody really honoring it. If people was really honoring it, homie, then guess what? Would nobody be on the internet talking about hood politics? Because what was created in the dark was to stay in the dark. You know what I'm saying? For me, it's too much selective politicking. And I want to give a shout out to my boy Bandana the Rag. For me, the statement when I said that.
And I already know what LA demands. Snoopy a buster. Snoopy, I don't care if he's a buster or not. What he's saying about blacks and Mexicans is true. So you can say that, homie. I don't care how you feel about this man. This ain't about liking Snoopy or disliking him. Snoopy is telling the truth about these Mexicans, homie. Listen, homie, I've been talking about this for the last few years. I've been talking about this way before Snoopy said something about it. I got videos of me talking about this, how blacks in LA put their gangs before they race. How many people in the comment section remember King Supreme saying that blacks in Los Angeles will put their gang before they race? Snoopy ain't lying about these Mexicans. Maybe he got on the stand and did whatever he did. That ain't my business. I'm not talking about that. He's telling the truth when it comes to these black and brown issues. That's all I'm going to say.
Crips didn't even fight the Sedanios for the Blue Rag, and the same for the Bloods and the North Angels. That was actually his quote. You feel me? And I felt it when he told me, homie. And I just felt like I had to come on here and tell you and repeat it, homie. Cause that's real though, bro. These niggas don't stand. These dudes don't stand on nothing, bro. You know what I'm saying? And I want to let everybody know, Red Mafia Family is not a gang. You feel me? Red Mafia Family is a wall. It's Snoopy Badazz's wall. It's for the people that I love and the ones that love me back. Feel what I'm saying? Feel me? For me to know that you not an enemy and you friend, not foe, you down with the Red Mafia Family movement, homie. It's not we don't, even though the color is red, we are not that happened before they was born by claiming alliances to all this bullshit. RMF stands as long as an independent bloods. Y'all didn't fight the North Daniels and the Blood Dogs for the Red Rags. So shut.
There was a question that I had to ask you because of a whole topic that's really turning up about the West Coast and these podcasts, right? So what is up? A lot of people across the country, they really don't understand the friction between black and brown out there on the West Coast. Like, what is the deal with that? Because recently there was a podcaster who said some very disrespectful and derogatory things towards the black community when talking about blueface. He used a derogatory term, right? And then it started this whole thing, man. So what is the situation out there?
And I'm sorry to be the one to say this, you know, and but 75% of Hispanic gangbangers from California don't like blacks. Like gangbangers from California, but 75% of Hispanic gangbangers from California don't like blacks. I'm just tired of why lie? They don't like us. Like we're not gonna like, and I'm not saying I have a problem with the Sorellos or the Mexican gangbangers, but I know they don't like me. I know they don't like us. So, you know, of course they're going to try to act like they like us to get on our platforms and to be a part of our rap culture. You know, of course they're going to act like it, but in reality, they don't like us. They don't, bro. So it ain't even no point. You know what I'm saying?
They don't, man. Their politics are anti-black, right? Southsiders have anti-black politics, right? They don't like black people, right? So they formed a loose alliance with the Aryan Brotherhood. If that ain't enough proof to let you know that their big homies are the ones that indoctrinate them, who indoctrinated them with this anti-black racism, then you just slow. You stuck on stupid. You ride the short bus. That's all the proof you need to know that. That's all the proof that you need to know how they really feel about you. I'll put it like that. It's not even up for debate, homie. You got black people who got firebombed just for living in East LA, just for living in El Monte, just for living in Hawaiian Gardens, and many other areas too that didn't make the news. Listen, homie, I've been talking about this way before Snoopy said something. Snoopy, shout out to you, but you late in the game. King Supreme been talking about these black and brown issues. How black people can't move to a predominant Mexican community and start no gang. But blacks have allowed Mexicans to move to predominant black communities and start gangs. Straight up. Now the A-Trade gangsters, shout out to the A-Trade gangsters. They don't let Mexicans start neighborhoods and they don't let Mexicans start barrios in their hood. The A-Trades ain't finna let the F-13 start no F-13 click in their hood. They're not gonna go for it. So the A-Trades is one of the realest gangs in Los Angeles. So is the Black P-Stones. They're not gonna let no Mexicans start no gang in their community. Just like Mexicans ain't gonna let you start no gang in their community. So when it comes to standing on business, you got to take your hat out to the Blackstones. You got to take your hat out to the A-Trade gangsters. They don't let SAs start gangs in their communities. And rightfully so. Why would I let you start a gang in my community when I know we can't start a black gang in a predominant Mexican community? Make it make sense.
To even be fake with that, bro. 75% of Sorano gangbangers don't like us, don't like blacks, bro. 75% of Sorano, be fake with that, bro. 75% of Sorano gangbangers don't like us, don't like blacks, bro. And that's just the way it is, bro. I know that, like, it's been many a times, right? Let me give you one of my experiences. They'd be cool when it's just you and them, or it's just two of them. But most of the time, just them. But as soon as they get in the crowd of their homies, they're going to turn on you if you're the only one like you there, bro. You're going to feel the shift in their energy, bro. It's not going to be the same person they was when they was by themselves, bro. They act funny when they get with their people, bro. That's just the fact. That's just the facts, bro. And this ain't me bashing nobody. It's the truth.
Why, though? Like, it seems such
that's
like
an
outdated situation. Like, why is it still like that?
That's how they were raised, bro. That's their household, bro. Like, Mexican fathers, Hispanic fathers do not want their beautiful Hispanic daughter laid down with a black dude, bro. Look at that. That is a Hispanic's father's nightmare.
But how come in Texas you can see there's issues sometimes, right? But
I can't
for the
speak on
most part,
Texas.
when it comes to like hip hop and the streets and anything like that,
I'm from LA. I don't know,
blacks
but
and
the
Hispanics
Texas
kind of get together. They get along. You know what I mean?
The Texas, because they're more like blackwashed Hispanics. You know what I'm saying? They're like blackwashed Hispanics. You feel me? They're not feel me, straight up essays like the ones out here in California. Like, you know what I'm saying? Feel me? But that's just the truth of it. Like, you know, I understand and I have to accept the fact that 75 to 80% of Sudanio gang members do not like blacks. And if they and I'm speaking on,
let's get the lights up. If you want King Supreme to do more content like this, then make sure you bless the like button. We got 430 people watching. We need 400 plus people to bless that like button if you want more content like this. Because listen, most of your LA podcasters, they're only going to talk about Crip and Blood bullshit. They're only going to talk about Crip and Blood BS all day. When it comes to the black and brown issue, I don't want to talk about that. Net subject. No, homie, they ain't going to talk about it. The majority of your LA podcasters who claim to be gang members or gang bangers, when it comes to the black and brown issue, they ain't finna say nothing. They're going to tread lightly. They're going to downplay the situation. But when it's time to talk about black on black violence and cripping and blooding, they got a whole lot to say when it comes to that. But if you ask them a question about black and brown issues, they ain't got nothing to say. That's why I don't watch 90% of these LA gangbang podcasters. They be on BS. Scared to tell the truth about black and brown and what's really going down in the city. But to sit up there and talk about Crip and blood and black issues all day.
Even these rapper ones, bro. Feel me? Like I said, they're going to be respectful and be manipulative and act like they like us to be on our platforms or to get features or to be accepted in the rap because, like, you know, blacks got the keys to the hip hop shit. They know that. They can't just be a blatantly NK with a killer, you know what I'm saying, and think they're going to be they can't just blatantly come out and say, I don't like blacks and think they're going to be
Shout out to you, Vibe said the Jordan Down projects is gone. Yeah, man, they gone, man. You know, eventually the rest of the projects will be gone as well. So what do they do now? What happens to the gray streets now? You say, okay, they got a hood outside of the projects. Well, they better secure more area outside of the projects. If not, they're going to be living in the valley. I mean, you already got a lot of them living in Palmdale, Lancaster. The government comes in, tears down your hood. Now you got to move to the valley. You ain't got a community no more. Right? So at the end of the day, you say, well, what are we really doing? If the government can come in and tear down my hood, now I ain't got nowhere to hang no more. Now I got to hang in the valley. I got to hang in Palmdale, Lancaster, or I got to go to Moreno Valley. And you ain't even got a hood no more. That should tell black people it's time to move on to bigger and better things. What are we doing for our families? We're not building our communities. All that money them Great Street Crips made from selling drugs, they could have built their own community. They could have built their own apartments and made it to where their people could move in there to keep it all black. But no, they wasn't thinking. They was thinking the projects is going to be there forever. The white man pull up, tear the projects down. Now you got to move somewhere else. You ain't even got a hood no more. We done sold all this dope, put in all this work just to end up with nothing, serving a whole lot of time in prison, telling war stories, broke as hell with no money, can't even get legal defense. The hood won't even raise money to get you legal defense. But you didn't put in all this work for the set. I said this before and I say it again. Most of these gangbangers on the internet running their mouth, they're living with some woman. They don't even have their own apartments. The moment you get into an argument with that woman, she could say, get out, because everything in her mother effing name, not yours. So when you see these gangbangers on the internet talking about who they gonna catch a fade with, man, these dudes are living off women. Very few of these guys have apartments or houses in their own name. The majority of these gang members are living off some woman. The lease is in her name. The bills is in her name. You just live there, but you don't run nothing. But then you come to the internet talking about who you gonna catch a fade with. Meanwhile, you living off some woman and she's calling the damn shots. You brothers better get your priorities together. Your hood is predominantly Latino, and you living off some woman. You're just waiting to go back to prison doing dumb stuff.
Rapper, they can't do that, bro, because we run hip hop. You understand what I'm saying? So, you know, of course they're gonna act like they like us to deal with as far as the music thing, but in reality, them and their homies, 75 to 80% of them don't like us. That's just it's just the facts, bro, and everybody gonna agree with me with this, bro. They don't like us, bro. Feel me? They don't like us, bro. They don't like us, bro. I don't care what nobody say, bro. They don't like, just like shout out Rich Rabbit too, homie. Just like Rich Rabbit from Playboys, LA. He's a black Southsider. They couldn't wait to throw him away.
Now, why would a black man become a black Southsider? Especially when you understand the racial issues between blacks and brown in California, the racial issues out here. Why would you join a Mexican gang as a black man when you know their politics? When they have a loose alliance with the Peckerwoods, even though they might get into it with them sometimes, but at the end of the day, they have a loose alliance with the white supremacists, the Peckerwoods, the skinheads, the Aryan Brotherhood. They got a loose alliance with those people to go against you. And you still join a Mexican gang, knowing all of this. This is common information. Knowing all of that, you still join a Mexican gang. If a race riot crack off, you got to help Mexicans to stab your own people. You mean to tell me that you as a black man is willing to sign up for that? You're gonna listen. If a race riot crack off, you're gonna assist Mexicans at stabbing black people as a black man. I mean, look at yourself in the mirror. You look crazy, man. I grew up with these dudes, so man, I don't give a damn, homie. You need to be black first. I wish I would go to prison and help some Mexicans to stab my people. Man, please.
They couldn't wait. You know what I'm saying? They couldn't wait till he sneezed wrong and they gave him the boot. And I'm gonna keep it real. Probably the scariest thing to be is a black Southsider, man, because you wouldn't know, because you're not getting away with anything, bro. I don't care what nobody. They're not letting you get away with anything. It's gonna be somebody from your hood that just don't want you around, bro. And that's just how that go.
Now, Snoopy, I want you to clear this up too. Now, the impression online is that when it comes to the prisons too, like the blacks have to take like a back seat to everybody. Is that true from what you've seen?
What you mean? Well, when the blacks got to take a back seat, what you mean?
Yeah, like they're actually getting, not, man, I don't want it to sound worse than what it is, but the impression, like with Charleston White, he said that basically
Charleston White don't know nothing about California prisons, man. Like listening to Charleston White is like, man, he don't know. Charleston White is trolling. Charleston White don't know what goes on. Charleston White takes a few things that he hears, then he spins a narrative and creates his own story about it. And he used information like that to antagonize blacks. And see, I told you scared of the Mexicans be telling y'all what to do in prison. So when you hear Charleston White say stuff like that, there's some truth to some of the things that Charleston is saying, but Charleston is exaggerating at the same time. You know what I mean? Putting, adding more. What do Mexicans say? You putting too much tapatio on it, homie. You got way too much tapatio on it, man. You got enough flavor already, man. You putting more pepperonis on a pizza. You coming with, in other words, you're coming with the extras.
On the West Coast, like you guys kind of like the black folks, they kind of have to, like in prison, they have to be scared of like the Mexicans and stuff.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this. The Hispanics, the Hispanics outnumber the blacks everywhere.
Yeah. Okay.
It's always it's a lot of them. They outnumber. They're everywhere on the streets. They're everywhere in the schools. They're everywhere. They're all in the prison system. They're everywhere. It's just more of them. But far as me saying that they punking the blacks, like, it's just more weakness that's obvious within the black cars than it is in the Hispanics, bro. The Hispanics are just more structured than blacks. You got the black card is cut up in like 50 million different cars of bum niggas. Like I'm just gonna say it, bro. Like niggas ain't niggas. Like niggas bums, bro. Like them niggas don't want to go to war with them SAs, bro. Niggas don't want to. go where niggas. I'm gonna keep it real. Like I be thinking most blacks is scared of they scared of him because like the essays, like let me give you a scenario, right? The essays can. Okay, a black hood can have been in LA for years, decades, right? Soon as an essay buy a few houses on the block in a hood, guess what? Now that's they hood. Y'all gotta share the hood with the Hispanics. And the blacks don't go to war with them or nothing. I done seen blacks not even go to war with them, right? Feel me? And when they do go to war, they always be friends with them first, right? But let a black family move on the block and say, man, we started our own crew right here. This our hood too. They're gonna be trying to mark them out, shoot them out, punk them, do every most blacks be cowards, bro. Black gangbangers.
That doesn't even make any sense.
That's what would happen. Most black gangbangers are cowards. That's why they're gangbangers. They can't. That's why they're gangbangers and they marks. What you say?
So you would treat your own people differently than you would treat anybody else.
What blacks are scared of everybody but their own people, bruh.
That's wild.
They
man.
scared of
That's
everybody
wild.
but their own. They not
going. Let me tell you something, man. It's just true, man. Like blacks, you're only 8% of the population in Los Angeles. You're only 8%. The Mexicans are like 50+%. Then you think about all these illegals who came over, all these illegals who are having babies for birthright citizenship. They're going to be 60% of LA's population in another few years. Blacks in Los Angeles don't have their communities to themselves. They share their hoods with Mexicans. Damn near every black gang you go to in LA is sharing that neighborhood with a Mexican gang. But you got areas in LA where Mexicans will not share their territory or communities with no blacks. Mexicans in East LA don't share their hood with black people. Mexicans in La Puente don't share their hoods with black people. Mexicans in the Hawaiian Gardens don't share their hoods with black people. Mexicans in Northeast LA don't share their hoods with black people. Mexicans in Pico Rivera don't share their hoods with black people. Right? Mexicans in Southgate don't share their hoods with black people, and the list goes on and on. You got areas in LA where you have Mexicans and no blacks. You can't show me one area in Los Angeles where there's blacks with no Mexicans. Mexicans got a presence in damn near every black community in the city. So blacks don't even have their own communities no more in Los Angeles. You got to share it with Mexicans. But Mexicans ain't got to share their communities with you. You don't believe me? Go to East LA and see if those Mexicans are sharing their hood with black people. Go to El Monte and see if the Mexicans are sharing their hood with black people. Huh?
Don't do nothing. Man, any one of these hoods, a Hispanic can set up shop in their hood right there and then all them black gangbangers gonna work their way around them, bro. That's what I be trying to tell them, bro. The streets is dead. Ain't no street code. All this shit is an illusion, bro. Feel what I'm saying? Gangbangers are cowards, bro. If you a threat and they know they can't get away with, they gonna leave you alone, bro. Why you think gangbangers are scared of the police? Because why you think they're scared of the police? Because they know they not ready to fight them or shoot it. They not ready for that, bro. They scary, bro. For me, it's that slave mentality that's embedded in our DNA, bro. We are scared of authority, bro. We're scared of authority.
When Mexicans get positions at these warehouses, they're not going to hire blacks. They're going to gatekeep their positions. Mexicans gatekeep their communities. Mexicans gatekeep their jobs. And keep your black behind out of there and bring in their own people. You might see 2 blacks or 3 blacks. It's like 85 to 90% Mexican Latino. So all you Crippin' Bloods in LA, man, you guys are stupid at this point. Why are you so willing to go to war with another black person when your hood is now majority Latino? At some point, man, the rules, you got to update these rules, man. It's kind of like basketball back in the day. Like every now and then you got to update some of these rules. These gang banging rules are played out as stupid. You got to be dumb to live by gang rules in 2026 as a grown ass man. I understand why teenagers do it. They don't know no better. I understand why people in their 20s do it. They don't know no better. But once you hit your 30s and 40s and you still living by gang rules as a grown man and you living off some woman and you ain't got nothing, you a damn fool. You need to get your priorities straight. It's kind of like the NBA back in the day. Now, if you're a basketball fan, I want to use this analogy, and I'm going to use that to explain gangbanger, but I'm going to use this basketball analogy on how you got to update your rules after so many years. There was a point in time in the NBA where if you was winning a game, you could just pass the ball for 10 minutes. There was no such thing as a shot clock. Well, guess what? It made the fans boring. A lot of people began to lose interest. It's not entertaining. What they called it was you go into a stall. Let's say it's the fourth quarter and you winning by 10 points. You can just pass the ball back and forth to your teammates. Eventually, the referee said, man, we got to make a shot clock. If you don't shoot the ball in 20 seconds, the ball goes back to the other team. So at some point, the NBA had to update their rules because it's like, why are we going to watch this game? And when somebody gets ahead on the scoreboard, they'll just pass the ball back and forth for 10, 15 minutes to run the clock out to win the game. So they said, nah, man, we got to come up with a 20-second shot clock to put an end to that. Okay, when you think about gangbanging, when will gangbangers update these played out as rules? Rules that was created way back in the 70s. Rules that were created by people who wasn't even fully functional adults. And you're going to live by those rules in 2026 and you a grown man with kids and responsibilities? You crazy. You crazy. At some point, you got to update the rules. Why the hell do you want to live by these played out old ass rules that ain't doing nothing for you besides putting you in a bad situation?
Let's look at a black person. Try to tell a black person can't tell me what to do. You get what I'm saying?
Well, Snoopy, I gotta chime in there because all that don't go on like in the South. You know what I'm saying? It's like, man,
I know, I've been there.
Not even close. Like it's like
I love
that
black
would
people.
never happen.
I love black people on the East Coast, the Midwest, and the South. I love y'all.
Nah, homie, these gang rules are played out. I don't care if you're running a business or a company. At some point, you got to update the rules because things get played out. You still want to operate how dudes operated way back then. That's not going to work. Times have changed. The laws are different. The way people interact with one another, the way that people interact with one another is different. You will be a damn fool to live by those played out rules in 2026 just so you can end up in a penitentiary with nothing. Then you got to come home and live off some woman. She talking crazy to you whenever she feel like it. She got kids in the house that ain't yours. You can't tell the kids what to do. The bills ain't in your name. She'll tell you to get your black ass out whenever she feel like it. So you gonna hop on the internet bragging about all these phase you took just to get out of prison. Now you gotta live off some woman that's talking crazy to you, belittling your manhood, talking crazy to you in front of her kids, telling you you can leave her house, you can get out of her house. Every time she get pissed off with you, she reminds you that this is her house and not yours. Every chance she gets, she reminds you of that. But you hop on the internet pretending to be some tough guy. Meanwhile, you can't even run your household. You want to brag about running a prison yard. You want to brag about phase in prison. You can't even run that household that you live in as a man. Now, how does that make you feel deep down inside? The first thing you need to run is your household before you want to brag about running a damn prison yard, food. You know how many grown-ass black men in their 40s, 30s, 40s, and 50s bragging about what they did on a prison yard but can't call the shots at that house that they live at? If you can't call the shots at that house where you live at, I don't want to hear nothing you got to say about gangbanging. I don't want to hear nothing you got to say about manhood. I don't want to hear nothing you got to say about prison. The main place that you need to be running is your household, a place that you live, fool. You don't even wear the pants in that house that you live in. That woman wear the pants in that house, fool. But you this hard-ass gangbanger. You didn't caught all these phase in prison. You didn't put in all this work. But you can't even call the shots at that house that you live in, dude. Get your priorities straight, Get your priorities straight, homie.
Love all y'all. I love, like, I've been to different places and I just see, you know, black people on the corner selling things like the black people in Philly and on the East Coast is what the Hispanics is here. It's just blacks everywhere and it's beautiful, bro. And I love the way, you know, they really with that black shit, you know what I'm saying? And I respect it. And I want to say this too, right? And I noticed the Bloods on the East Coast is way more structured than the Bloods in LA. I don't understand why the East Coast Bloods even pay these Bloods in LA any attention, because they would smash these dudes out, bro. And I wanted to say that, bro. Like, the East Coast Bloods will smash these dudes out. These dudes in LA is lazy gangbangers, bro.
Yeah, man. I don't want to hear no dude talking about what he did in prison and all the phase he caught. He can't even run that household that he lives in. Nah, man, I don't want to hear nothing you got to say at that point, man. Say that to the people who come from the suburbs who don't know no better. I know how these dudes are really living behind the scene. I know the majority of these gangbangers that hop on the internet are living off some woman where she called the shots. That woman dictates the rules, not you. So nah, man, I don't want to hear nothing at that point, man.
They are not aggressive like y'all think they is, bro. These dudes ain't ready. Look it, homie. We dealing with gangsters that's used to sneaking in somebody's hood, popping shots, or murdering somebody and running off and hide from doing it. We not dealing with dudes that's used to combat. We not dealing with these youths that's used to being on offense. We not dealing with these dudes, bro. We not dealing with them type of dudes, bro. We not dealing with a dude that can shoot at somebody that's shooting back at them, bro. These dudes don't know what it's like to be in a shootout. They used to being sneaky, pulling up at somebody's hood, busting at them or knocking one down and going off the high, bro. They not ready to go against the boogeyman with the same tools they got. We dealing with marks in LA, bro.
That's wild, man. Now that's probably gonna go crazy soon.
No, this is the truth. We dealing with these dudes are busters, bro. Feel me? They talk about, we got these rappers talk about they love the hood so much.
Let's get 100 more people to bless that like button. We need 100 more people to bless that like button, and let's get some people to bless the Cash App. Shout out to everybody for blessing the super chat. You know, that's a hardcore fact. You know, I just don't want to hear it, man. All that prison and gangbang talk, but you can't run your household. You don't call the shots at that house you live in. Nah, man, I don't want to hear nothing you got to say. I don't want to hear nothing. I don't want to hear nothing.
But you moved away. You don't live there. You don't. You're in Vegas.
And a lot of these cats who be telling people you can't, such and such can't come back to the hood. He don't even live in the hood. He's living off some woman. But he gonna tell you you can't come back to the hood no more. Imagine a cat who don't live in his hood himself, and you know he's living off a woman driving her car, but he's telling you that you can't come back to the hood. He don't even live there no more. I mean, this gang banging stuff is just, it's stupid. It's retarded. You got some beta male who thinks he's an alpha male because he's joined the gang, when we all know it's a bunch of beta males who join gangs. We know that. You got a beta male who's living off some female that's telling you you can't come back to the hood no more, and he don't even live in the hood. He's living off some woman. But he feels like he has the power to dictate who can't come back to the hood no more. He don't even live there no more. And if he does live there, he's living off some woman 9 times out of 10. He ain't got that apartment that he's living in is not in his name. Everything is in that woman's name, but he gonna tell you you can't come back to the hood. He ain't got no apartment in the hood. He ain't got no house he ain't got nothing in the hood, but he gonna tell you that you can't come back.
You in Lancaster.
No.
You in Victorville. Much, but you moved away.
I'll tell you.
You don't live there. You don't. You're in Vegas. You in Lancaster. You in Victorville. You're in Wisconsin. You don't like you know it. the streets. But that's not cool to say because it don't go with your brand and your image, right? You scary ass niggas ain't about to go sit in y'all hoods and live there and do this same shit y'all do in the rap game on there. Shut up. All you rappers that got something to say, y'all don't even live in y'all hoods, bro. There and do this same shit y'all do in the rap game on there. Shut up. All you rappers that got something to say, y'all don't even live in y'all hoods, bro. Y'all don't even live in this. Shut up. Let die off in peace.
Hey, what's up, man? So today I got something super special.
Now you're gonna have some people, man, I don't care about your feelings, bro. This ain't about your feelings. It's the truth. What Snoopy said about blacks and Mexicans in Los Angeles is true. Regardless of how you feel about Snoopy, it's true. Blacks cannot start gangs in predominant Mexican communities. That's true. But Mexicans can start gangs in predominant black communities in Los Angeles. They've done it already. Of course, you have gangs where Mexicans were there, but there was a lot of areas where you didn't have no Mexican gangs. Some of these Mexican gangs came later and started barrios and black hoods. The F-13s are not from the F-13s are not from the Crenshaw district originally. That's not their neighborhood originally. They migrated over there. Right? There's a lot of hoods in LA where I could name that you didn't have a lot of Mexicans in these areas at one particular time. Even if you had a Mexican gang close to this area, they didn't have the numbers. Man, let me tell you something. If you go back to the 80s, and a lot of these areas, they didn't have a significant Mexican population in it. There's a lot of new Mexican gangs who just started not that long ago that's popping up in black areas. You can look at the graffiti on the walls. So I don't care who gets mad about it. I'm telling you the truth. You cannot go to Pico Union and start a black gang. You cannot go to East LA and start a black gang. You cannot go to El Monte and start a black gang. The Messiahs ain't going for it, homie. They'll move in a black community and start a Mexican gang, but you can't move to a Mexican community. They'll move into a black community and start a Mexican gang, but you can't move to a Mexican community and start a black gang. Why? Because Mexicans gatekeep their communities. They don't want you living there, so they damn sure ain't finna let you start no gang over there. I don't care what nobody say. I'm telling the truth.
For y'all, man. I got Snoopy Badazz back on the platform after his explosive interview we just did recently, man. You made a huge... All right, first off, a lot of people were upset about your opinion, or I should say everybody was mad about your opinion about you saying that the blacks in Southern California are scared of the Mexicans, man. Now, when you saw the reaction to that opinion, and you saw a whole bunch of there was different pages that, like the food, I don't even want to say the food community, but different.
Yeah, it was food community, Hot Wheeler. Shout out there, man. Anybody that supports Snoopy Badazz.
They're not scared of anybody. Then you have some people saying that it is like that they run it, especially people from the Hispanic community saying they do run it and that blacks aren't scared of them.
Mexicans can't say that they run it because they take orders from a whole nother organization. Like if you got to pay taxes to another group, and I'm not saying this to be disrespectful, but if you run something, you don't pay taxes to no one. No one dictates your program when you truly run something. So for Southsiders to say that they run something, that's just, they're not being honest with themselves. It sounds good to say it, but is it true? Absolutely not. Right? I don't see why the Southsiders would even take orders from a prison gang. They're way deeper than these prison factions. They got way more numbers. So if you're deeper with more numbers, why are you still taking orders? That doesn't make any sense. Now, the Tongo Blast in Texas, you know what I respect about the Tongo Blast in Texas? These are Mexican gang members from the streets who said, we're not taking orders from no Texan. We're not taking orders from the Mexican mafia. We're not taking orders from the Texas syndicate. We're not taking orders from no prison gangs. So the SAs in Texas all band together and called their thing Tango Blast. We're not paying taxes to no prison organization. Matter of fact, we'll go to war with them if it all boils, if it hits the fan. Imagine if all the Southsiders in California got together and said, "Nah, we're not paying taxes to no prison gang no more. We're gonna do our own thing and run our own program." Well, that's gangster right there. And that's gangster right there. The Mexicans in Texas did it. The Mexicans from Dallas, Houston, Fort Worth, and many other areas said, we're going to create Tango Blast. We ain't taking orders from the Mexican mafia. We ain't taking orders from the Texas syndicate. We ain't doing it. We're going to call our own shots and dictate our own program. And if they got a problem with that, we'll go to war with them. We're going to fight for our independence. Tango Blast put up a fight. They went to war for their independence. Now that's gangster right there.
Snoopy Badazz, do you want to go ahead and, double down or talk about a little bit?
Man, look, but that's black people for you. You know what I'm saying? They can't face the truth. And what people got to understand is, until we face the truth, till we look in the mirror and see what's going on, we ain't gonna never fix this. You know what I'm saying? If you got a problem and something wrong with yourself, you feel me, and you don't acknowledge that this is a problem or this is a weakness, you're never gonna fix it, bro. You know what I'm saying? How you think people that get in the gym that work out with what they work on their weak points. You know what I'm saying? All the blacks, they always want to just focus on the strong points, Focus on your weak points. And a weak point is that we have to face until we can get over it is that blacks are scared of Hispanics.
All right. Well, I don't want to hear that. They're not. I wouldn't say that blacks are scared. Blacks are not as structured as they should be or as structured as they can be. Are they scared? No, because there's a lot of blacks in LA who have went to war with Mexican gangs. So it's not that they're scared. It's just blacks don't see the bigger picture. Like I spoke on the Geer gangs and how none of the Crips in that area helped them. All the Crips in that surrounding area, none of those Crips helped them. 18th Street is the biggest Mexican gang in LA with multiple cliques. It was people saying, "Oh, it was just a Smiley." Like, you're not being honest, homie. Oh, it was only the Smileys. No, the hell it wasn't. You got Geer gang Crip right here. You got two 18th Street factions in the Geer neighborhood. You got the Alsace and you got the Smiley Drives. Those are two 18th Street cliques right there in the West Adams district. Soon as you go north of the 10 freeway, and that's literally like right down the street, north of the 10 freeway, there's another 18th Street clique in a Marvin hood, Marvin Gangster Crip hood, 18th Street clique over there. Okay, that's 3 18th Street cliques in the surrounding areas. You go down the street, there's another 18th Street clique in Schoolyard hood. That's 4. You go up Jefferson by the 30s, you got the Rancho Parks. That's another 18th Street clique. Right? Then you got the ones from MacArthur Park who come over there to hang out with them. So you got at least 6 18th Street cliques in that area that all hang with each other, that function together. And you got this one small ass Crip gang that had to go to war with all them SAs, the biggest Mexican gang in LA. And none of the Crips in that area assisted them in that war with 18th Street. I was watching a podcast. What's dude's name? I forget his name. S. Wiggins. Shout out to S. Wiggins TV. S. Wiggins TV did an interview with a Geer gang Crip that's in prison. He's been in prison for a long time. S. Wiggins said, "Hey, man, how come none of the Crips helped the Geers out?" You know what he said? Man, they were scared. They were scared. And I always thought the same thing. Most people on the red side, like if you a dumb move from LA, most people on the red side thought the same thing. They must be scared of them SAs. How come none of the Crips in that area helped the Geer gangs? Now they're going to say, well, we ain't cool with them. That's their beef. Well, the way that people looked at it said, nah, they were just scared. Homeboy from Geer said, I got to be real with you. They were scared. They made every excuse in the book to say that ain't our war. That's between them and the Geer. When we all know them 18s was shooting not just Geer gangs, they were shooting at regular black people for living. They were shooting at regular black people who lived over there, and they had nothing to do with Geer gang. These were just blacks who lived over there. The Messiahs started shooting at them when they couldn't find nobody from Geer. Then you say, well, how come the schoolyards didn't help them? How come the West Boulevards didn't help them? How come the Marvins didn't help them? Homeboy from Geer gang said, man, I'm going to be real with you, man. They were scared. They were scared. That's why they didn't help us. Once you start shooting innocent black people, it's not a gang it's not a gang thing anymore. It is a racial issue at that point. Once you start shooting innocent black people, it's a race issue now. It's way bigger than a gang thing now. Hit the like button. It ain't nothing. He said they didn't check in. No, it just cracked off, right? I don't think the Geer gangs didn't start the war with the 18th Streets, man. There was a lot of fights and a lot of scrimmages taking place. A dude from 18th Street got beat up and he came back shooting and he unalived somebody from Geer. That's what cracked the war off. Prior to that, they used to be cool. Well, frenemies. I would say frenemies because the pot, listen, homie, the pot was already boiling, man. The pot was already boiling, right? Then eventually the pot spilled over. And there you go. Now, the Bloods, on the other hand, I heard people say, oh, man, the Bloods had to team up. Bloods didn't have to team up. These Bloods were already cool with each other. Bloods are already united. So if you're on the west side writing BK, every Blood that's on the west side going to say, okay, you the enemy. You're not going to write BK and say, oh, that's just because we got beef with the Blackstones. The 20s going to take offense to that. The Brim's going to feel the same way. The Inglewood family's going to feel the same way. So once you start writing BK, you're disrespecting all Bloods. So you got to expect all Bloods to take off on you. You got to expect Bloods to slide on you for that. The Bloods could have easily said, man, that's just between them and the Blackstones. And if you want to get technical, the only Blood, it was only the 20s and the Stones that was really going to war with the 18th Streets on the west side. You got the 20s and the Stones, and you got all these different 18th Street cliques on the west side. So it was really just the 20s and the Stones. Now, Bloods from other neighborhoods, they would cross out 18th Street, but most Bloods don't even live around 18th Streets to have no beef with them like that. So when you hear it makes all these Bloods clicked up, that's a damn lie. It was only the Stones in the 20s. And let's talk about it. You got multiple 18th Street cliques on the west side. I just named 6 18th Street cliques on the west side. The Rancho Parks, the Alsace, the Smiley Drives, the Rempar Boys by the schoolyards. You got another 18th Street clique by the Marvins. I forget the name of that clique. You know? So it's multiple cliques over there on the west side, bro. Then you got the ones from downtown Pico Union that was coming to hang out in the West Adams district. So they would help them out. They would assist them in the war. They was assisting them. The Geer gangs were smart enough to know, like, oh, these are 18th Streets, but they ain't from Smiley Drive. These are 18th Streets from other areas. The Geer gangs were smart enough to know that. How did the Geer gangs know that? Because Geer gang grew up with the 18th Streets. So when they would see people that they never seen before that was from 18th Streets, oh, these are 18s from other cliques who are just coming over here to hang out. So the Crips did lead the Geer gang hanging against the 18th Streets and all them down 18th Street cliques. The Crips in West LA left them hanging. They did. They left them hanging. Now I know they're gonna say, well, why would we help them? Why would we help Geer? We don't get along with them. Well, okay, Schoolyard get along with Geer gang. How come Schoolyard didn't help our Geer gang? Oh, I get it, because there's an 18th Street clique in Schoolyard hood. Maybe Schoolyard didn't want that funk. I don't know. I'm not trying to offend nobody, but I'm just being honest. A lot of people ask that question. If Schoolyards was cool with Geer, how come they didn't help him? A dude from Geer Gang said, man, they were scared. These are not my words. A dude from Geer Gang said it himself. Man, if you ask me, man, they were scared. That's why they didn't help us. They were scared.
It's not that big, bro. Compton is not that big. It ain't. If everybody in Compton and all these gangs was in LA,
The 20s and BPS didn't have to team up. They was already riding with each other. Anybody who writes BK on the west side, the 20s and Stones, they're going to come at you. The Stones and 20s grew up with each other. They live in the same neighborhood. You might have one guy from Stones and one, listen, you got brothers and one might be from Stones and one might be from 20s. These are blood brothers. So the 20s and the Stones are, they like that. They've been running with each other. Listen, the 20s and Stones been together way before that beef with the 18 even started. The 20s and Stones alliance goes way back, way before the 18 Streets ever had a problem with the Stones. The 20s and the Stones been running together since the 70s. The 20s and the Stones been running together ever since the 70s. So when I heard these Mexicans, they teamed up on it. No, they didn't team up. They was already riding with each other. How you gonna write BK on the wall and think the 20s ain't gonna have a problem with it? The 20s gonna say, oh man, that's just, I know the 18s are writing BK on the wall, but that's just between them and the Stones. No, that would be cowardly. Because if you're writing BK, you're disrespecting all bloods. You're not just disrespecting the Black P Stones. Make it make sense. That's like Florencia 13 writing CK on the wall and saying, well, we're only writing that on the wall for East Coast. But in the meantime, we cool with 60s. Now, I've heard a lot of Florence members say, we was writing CK for Coast Killer. No, you was writing CK for Crip Killer. I don't want to hear that. So the moment that F-13 started writing CK on the wall, every Crip gang should have been offended. Just like when 18th Street was writing BK on the wall, all the blood gangs started crossing them out. Even if they didn't live by the 18th Streets, they still say, oh, they writing BK. Okay, we're going to start whacking them out on the wall too. You can't write BK on the wall and think you only going to have beef with one blood gang. Make it make sense. That's like me writing 13K on the wall because I beef with one Mexican gang. But if I write 13K on the wall, I'm disrespecting all Serranos and Southsiders when I do that.
Black gangs was so tough. Then why is y'all sharing y'all hood with a Hispanic gang then that don't even like y'all, that put NKs on the wall? And I'm speaking to the ones that beef with prejudice, racist Hispanic, racist Serranos. Why is they still in y'all hood? If y'all so tough, y'all so gun-ho, why is them dudes still there? Y'all can't even get the essays out y'all hoods. But soon as a black family move over there, y'all want to harass him. Like I said, blacks ain't scared of nobody. Feel me? Blacks are scared of everybody except each other. Because they look at each other and they see within the other black what's in them. They know not to be scared of each other. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't care about how they feel about that. It's the truth. And until y'all acknowledge that, LA gonna continue to be Mexico. Dead homies, nigga. You don't see nothing but the corn man in all y'all hoods, bro. And this ain't no disrespect to the corn man or the Hispanic race, but the truth is the truth. They took that. They took LA, bro. They took it. Most of you dudes, and I'm gonna speak to you OGs out there, you OG Bloods, you OG Crips. Most of the houses that y'all grew up in is occupied by Mexicans now. Because y'all don't have no sense of family, bro. Y'all don't have no sense of thinking for the next generation. See, the Hispanics, they think for this generation and the next generation. Because if y'all was thinking for this generation when your grandmas and your mamas and all.
See, listen, let's say if a black gang did move to East LA, and let's say you moved to East LA and you got into it with the Quattro Flats. The Mexican gangs who don't even get along with Cuatro Flats will put their differences aside and say, we got to get these blacks out of here. We can go back to our beef later on. But right now, let's get rid of these blacks. Once we get rid of these blacks, then we can go back and start beefing with one another. But that's how them essays operate. When the first 3D's codes, listen, homie, first 3D's codes was living in Aliso Village. They went to war with the Flats, the Cuatro Flats. But all the Mexicans in that area said, you know what? We don't like the Cuatro Flats, but these are blacks. We need to link up to get rid of these blacks. Never mind the fact that we don't get along with each other. These are blacks. So we're going to put brown first and put the gang stuff second. So all those Mexicans in East LA put their differences aside to go to war with the first 3 East Coast Crips back in the 90s. The blacks in West LA, the Crips in West LA, let me be more specific. The Crips in West LA couldn't put their differences aside to say, oh, no, we might not like the Geer Crips, but we're not going to let these Mexicans come through shooting at innocent people and think they're going to be cool with us and say, oh, man, that's just between us and the Geers, but you're shooting innocent people who live in Geer territory. All the Crips on the West Side should have said, okay, let's put this gang stuff aside. We all black first. You black first for one, and for two, you guys are all Crips. Those were 2 reasons to put that gangbang BS aside and say, okay, we got to ride for black. Don't come over here. Don't come over to our hood saying you cool with us, but you shooting innocent people in Geer Gang hood.
Oh, then when they died, y'all wouldn't have sold their house and moved to Victorville to pay cheaper rent and to pocket the rest of the money. Y'all wasn't even thinking about y'all cousins or y'all kids or y'all great-grandkids coming up and saying, you know what? We're going to keep this house in the family. Y'all didn't even think that. Y'all thought for yourselves and y'all kids. Y'all didn't care about your cousins. Y'all didn't care about your other siblings or your other cousin that's in jail with 20 years. He going to get out with nowhere to go. You sold the house. You sold your grandmother or your mother or your father's or your great-grandmother's house in Compton, in LA, in Watts, in Long Beach, so you could move to the IE or to move out of state. That's a big reason why the essays took over. But not Maria, not Jose. They keeping this house in the family, and they're going to keep passing it down and passing it down and passing it down and passing it down. And if Pablo just came across the border, he don't got nowhere to go, guess what? He can have our garage, or we'll put a trailer in the backyard for him, or him and his whole family could come live with me and my whole family. They took over LA. Y'all look at the essays. Feel me? They smarter than us, and they smarter than us. All the blacks are scared of him, or scared of them, and they outsmarted the whole black culture in LA. And I don't care what nobody say. If you want to get a job, you got to go through a Hispanic in LA. I don't care what tip agency or whatever you think you going through. And this is just the truth of it, bro. Feel me? Blacks are scared of Hispanics, bro. And the Hispanics and outsmarted us. That's why LA is they shit. I don't even understand why these dudes still be claiming these hoods, bro. Most of y'all hoods is Mexico.
Most of y'all hoods is Mexico. He ain't lying about that. See, I'm not dealing with Snoopy personally. I'm dealing with his message. And what he's saying is true. Most of your hoods are now Mexico. It ain't a hood no more. It is a barrio. He's 100% correct. A lot of y'all hoods look like barrios now. Your hood look like Mexico. You can't call it, man, it look like Mexico. You can't call it no hood no more. Once you become the minority in your community, it is not your hood no more. The Mexicans got the majority of the businesses in your community. They occupy most of the homes. They occupy most of the apartments. You ain't got nothing. You're living off some woman who's dependent on government assistance. Imagine you living off some woman who depends on government assistance. And the Mexicans own the majority of the businesses in your so-called hood. But you hop on the internet with all this foolish pride, knowing damn well your hood is Mexico now. It's Mexico, homie. It's a barrio.
That's why LA is they shit. I don't even understand why these dudes still be claiming these hoods, bro. Most of y'all hoods is Mexico. Y'all houses y'all grew up in, be claiming these hoods, bro. Most of y'all hoods is Mexico. Y'all houses y'all grew up in, is occupied by Hispanics. They beat us, bro. Until we realize that and acknowledge the fact that, man, our people scared of them, or they really outsmarted our people. Until we acknowledge that, we ain't gonna be able to fix nothing in LA. It's gonna continue going the way it's going. Black people need to give each other the same respect and the same love they give these Hispanics walking around LA. You know what kills me, bro? And this is another way you could tell that the black.
Yeah, you're right about that, Bree. You're right about that, Bree. Brilliant. His name is Brilliant, right? But Bree, unfortunately, that unity is limited in Black culture. Yeah, man. You right about that, Bree. I got to put that on the screen. Unfortunately, it's true. It's true, sweetie. Oh, yeah. Your hood look like Mexico, homie. But you still want to do something to Black people whenever you feel like they looking at you wrong. Your hood look like Mexico, homeboy. It's a barrio. It ain't a hood no more.
Blacks are scared of Hispanics. What I want everybody that's looking at this interview to do, I want you to, when you driving up Fig, when you driving down Manchester, when you rolling through Inglewood, when you rolling through South Central, when you rolling through Compton, I want everybody to take notice of something. The Hispanic kids, they can go jog up Rosecrans. They got to get ready for the track team. They can go walk to the store with each other. Ain't got no problems. Jose can go sell his oranges at the corner of the freeway, can set up a whole taco, watermelon stand all outside, and nothing happens to him. Nothing happens to him, bro. Hispanic kids can be kids in Compton and Inglewood. They can be regular people. They can treat South Central and LA and Compton like the suburbs, Witty.
You cooking.
They can treat it like the suburbs. A Hispanic, a white person, they can treat South Central, Compton, Watts, all that like the suburbs. They can go jog up Imperial. Nobody's going to say anything to them. But let a Black person, a Black child, a Black teen try to jog up Rosecrans or Avalon or Long Beach Boulevard or Manchester or Inglewood, anywhere. He gonna be getting banged on and harassed. And it ain't even gonna be by Hispanics. It's gonna be by his own people.
Well, to be fair, Snoopy is gonna get banged on by everybody.
But he's more worried about his own people.
True.
Well, Mexicans are more worried about their own people too. Because if a Mexican pull up to a Mexican hood and they don't know him, that, hey, homie, where you from, fool? You know, so he gonna get banged on too. Unfortunately, it's the stupidity in gang culture. Like I said, it's time to update these rules. Why do you want to live by some rules that was created in the 70s? And you ain't updated none of these rules. Society changed. Society has changed. The laws have changed. The way that people interact with each other has changed. You got social media. You listen, homie, you got to be a fool to be living by those outdated ass rules. Why do you think they made a shot clock in the NBA? They realized that passing the ball for 10 minutes killed the entertainment value. So in order to bring the fans back in order to get the fans back to put more butts in these seats, people that's going to watch the game, because people got tired of that. A team would just pass the ball for 10 minutes. There was no shot clock. So they came together and said, man, we got to update some of these rules, man, because what I notice is when a team get up in points, they won't shoot the ball no more. They'll just pass the ball around to kill the shot clock. They'll pass the ball around to kill the time. Let's say there's 10 minutes. Let's say there's 5 minutes left in the game and you up by 10 points. You can just pass the ball to your teammates for 5 minutes and run the shot and you know, in order to kill the clock. So they said, nah, man, we got to make a 20-second shot clock. Within 20 seconds, if you don't shoot this ball, we're going to get a ball to the other team. That became a rule. So if the NBA had to update their rules, how come gangbangers haven't updated these played out rules? Something to think about.
True. Like there's a clip that's going viral right now and it's an older clip. I think it's from like last year or something, where a kid is running down the street as some guys, I guess they were from the 60s or whatever they was from. You know what I mean? That's regardless. Like,
listen, man, if you in your 30s and 40s still trying to live by gang rules, you just stupid. There's no 401k, there's no retirement plan, but you're gonna live and die by some gang rules. Some old ass played out gang rules at that. So you're gonna dedicate your whole life to gang rules when none of it benefits you. It's gonna set you up for failure. I know, but I'ma still live by the gang rule. I'ma still live by the code. All right, homie. All right, homie. I don't care if you're talking about a corporation, a company, or a business. At some point, the rules has to be updated. Some rules can stay the same. I get it, because but a lot of these rules have to change because we're living in a whole different world. Think about the world those gang members were living in the 70s compared to the world we live in now. Completely different world, totally different. So if the world is different, why are we living by the same rules that dudes lived by in the 70s? You want to live by rules that was created in the 70s. You want to live by those same rules in 2026, and you wonder why you ain't got nothing. You wonder why you broke and struggling back and forth to the penitentiary. Now you got to move in. Now you got to move in with some woman where she calls the shots. You're losing because you're stupid. You want to live by these played out rules that does nothing for you. If corporations and companies are smart enough to update their rules after a certain period of time, how come gangbangers haven't figured that out yet? They're dumb. I get it. They're dumb. That's why they haven't figured it out yet, because they're dumb. Now, I know a lot of people going to get pissed off, but I don't give a damn about your feelings, homie. I'm just telling the truth. If you're living by gang rules as a 30-plus-year-old man, a 40-plus-year-old man, and you ain't got nothing and you broke and struggling, you are dumb. And there's no other way to put it, but you are dumb. You lack critical thinking skills. You lack intelligence.
Running down the street as a kid, and they like, oh no, where you from? Blah, blah, blah. He's like, man, I don't even gangbang. And that got me upset because I'm thinking, if you don't gangbang,
what color was
there's no reason in the world.
And right, these gangs were started by teenagers or at least dudes in their 20s. And we're talking about the 70s. So you want to live by some rules that was created by teenagers in the 1970s, and you in 2026, and you never updated none of these rules? Lord Jesus, man. I don't care if it's a corporation, a company, an organization. At some point, you got to update the rules because laws in society change. The way that people interact with one another has changed. The world is a different place. Think about how the world was in the 70s compared to how it is now. The world is completely different. So if the world is different, why are we living by those same rules when the world we're living in today is completely different from what the world was back in the 70s, the 80s, even the 90s? You got old ass gangbangers who are gonna live and die by those played out rules, but they still gonna live and die by it.
Anybody should be pressing you, and you shouldn't be allowed to live your life.
What color was they?
They was black.
What I'm talking about? But what I'm telling you is, there is some racial tension where we have to worry about some Hispanics, but we're not talking about gangbangers. Right? I'm not talking about gang. I'm talking about a regular Hispanic person, or they can jog up LA, they can walk to the store and ain't got to worry about no problems. I drive around LA all day and all you see is Hispanic kids, teens, or older people selling something, just all out in the streets without a worry in the world. Why black people can't do that? Because
yeah, man, you know, the world we live in today is completely different from the world people lived in the 1970s. Come on, homie. You would be an idiot, a complete fool to live by those rules in 2026. And you wonder why these cats are broke living off some woman. You wonder why they're broke, struggling, living off some woman. Driving her car. Her kids don't even respect you. Her kids are talking back to you. And the moment that you feel like you want to put her kids in check, you know what she gonna say? You ain't they daddy. You can get out of here. This is my house. So you can't correct her children because her kids ain't yours. She a single mom with kids by another gang member. The kid's daddy is in prison. You got out of prison. You move in with this single mother. The baby daddy want to unalive you because he don't want you around his kids. So it's a whole lot of drama. You putting up with a whole lot of drama and disrespect just to have a place to stay. You know how many gangbangers I know put up with a whole lot of BS from women because they need a place to stay? Her kids talking back to you. She talking crazy to you. Just yesterday, she told you if you didn't like her rules, you can get out. Yeah. You don't like my rules, you can get out. This is my house. Her kids telling you you ain't their daddy. You're tolerating a whole lot of disrespect from this woman just to have a place to stay. I've seen plenty of gangbangers do it.
Like, even if a black person don't gangbang, he's gonna get harassed by other blacks. Where you from, homie? Hey, where you at? You know where you at? Who you be? You're gonna get like, bro, I hate these dudes, Whitty. I don't like none of you dudes, bro. We can't even enjoy our city. And to you dudes, I'm talking about, oh, I love Compton. I'm from Compton. Shut up. You don't even own nothing in Compton, bro. The essays run it, bro. The essays own that, bro.
Homosexuals, that's what they are. That woman, she telling you, listen, can't no woman tell me nothing because I got my own stuff. Can't no woman say, King Supreme, if you don't quit talking, you can get out. Can't no woman say that to me because I got my own stuff. Right? When you're living under those conditions, you're in a terrible situation. Every chance she gets, she reminds you that that is her house and not yours. And you can get out if you don't like the way she run her house. She reminds you that every chance she gets.
All you gangbangers, some of well, we be in the hood. They'll run. Bro, you are loiterers. Stop loitering in that neighborhood, bro. Just because it got some schools, bro. We can't even enjoy our city. And to you dudes, I'm talking about, oh, I love Compton. I'm from Compton. Shut up. You don't even own nothing in Compton, bro. The essays run it, bro. The essays own that, bro. All you gangbangers, some of well, we be in the hood. They'll run. Bro, you are loiterers. Stop loitering in that neighborhood, bro. Just because it got some real gang history that don't even exist anymore, bro. See, what I notice is
Snoopy is right. These gangbangers be loitering, man. They are loitering. They don't live there. They just, listen, on hood day, the majority of these dudes just pull up to the hood to hang out. They don't live there. You're loitering. Yeah, homie, you're loitering. He ain't lying about that. You pull up over there. Listen, homie, you pull up over there to hang out. You're loitering. That's exactly what you're doing. You are loitering. Imagine you in a hood every day and you got to depend on you're living off some woman who depends on government assistance. You're depending on her and she's depending on government assistance. You're in a terrible situation as a grown ass man, but then you want to bring your bum ass to the internet talking about who you going to catch a fade with and who can't come back to the hood. You can barely come back to the hood, fool. You ain't even got a place to stay. Imagine a bum with no place to stay telling you you can't come back to the hood because you done disrespected some gang rules. So now you got a bum who done dedicated his whole life to the set. He broke. He ain't got nothing. He's living off some woman, and this bum gonna tell you you can't come back to the hood no more when he's barely.
Niggas use these gangs as energy sources and to make themselves feel important. You know what I'm saying? Because they know the area got history, the gang, the whole gang name got history, and they want to feel important. They want to feel a part of that legacy. So they think just being there every day is going to...
Listen, you got gangbangers who are loitering in the hood, and they harass people that they don't know in that hood. They don't live there no more, but they harass the people who do live there now. He's loitering. Imagine you paying rent in this neighborhood and some bum that's living off some woman is harassing you because he don't know you and he telling you you can't be in the hood. You like, what? The whole time he's living off some woman, but you paying rent, you paying bills, everything is in your mother effing name. You run your household like a man. But then you got this bum that you know is living off of a woman. He gonna tell you that you can't come to the hood no more.
To make them feel a part of that. But my nigga, what you gotta understand is what made the hood was because you lived there. What made the hood is because, you know what I'm saying? Because that was your block. That's where you and your friends and everybody kicked it at, and y'all have to keep it safe. They're like, the illusion that y'all holding on to don't even exist anymore, bro. Get about them people neighborhood that pays taxes and pay rent up over there and go find something to do with yourself, my
John. You're correct.
I'm just saying though, bro. And I'm talking to all you gangbangers. Just because you can go to a hood you don't even live in. These niggas talking about, I love the hood. Don't disrespect the hood. Half you niggas don't even live there, bro. Everybody that's got on the internet and said Snoopy Badazz ain't good in LA and Snoopy Badazz can't come back to Compton don't even live there, bro. Don't own nothing there, bro.
Now, Snoopy, I got to cut in here because you did make a distinction, man, and I want to make sure you make this distinction again. When you were talking, you were talking specifically about Southern California, you know, LA gang politics.
Yes, I'm speaking about Southern California. I'm not speaking about, when I talk about the Black and Hispanic problems and blacks being scared of the Hispanics, I'm talking about nothing else but Southern California, mainly Los Angeles. I don't know what's going on.
It'd be one thing. Let's say you left the hood because you got a place and you got a family. That's cool. You're not even worried about that. Like if you got a house somewhere and you from the hood, but you elevated in life, man, you ain't finna be hanging out in no hood. You got too much to lose. You got kids, you got a wife, you got a family, you got bills and responsibilities. You ain't got no time to be hanging in no hood, gang banging on people that pass. But nah, man, you ain't got no time for that. That's for teenagers. That's for teenagers who still live with their mama and ain't got no damn bills to pay. Listen, homie, once you grow up and you got rent, you got bills, you got responsibilities, you trying to start a business, you ain't got no time to be hanging on no damn block, asking people where they from. That's for bums. That's for teenagers or guys fresh out of prison who ain't got nothing. Those are the people who are gang banging on. These are the people who gang bang on strangers. Once you got a house and you got a good job, you got income, you got responsibilities, you might have a family, you ain't got no time to be hanging on no block asking random people where they from. The only people who do that are teenagers or these bum-ass gangbangers who live off women. Those are the only people that got time to do that. A man with responsibilities and bills ain't got no time to be doing that. He got too much to lose.
In Northern California, I don't know. Only time I ever really been in Northern California is when I went to the pen. I was in prison up there. You know what I'm saying? I don't know anything about, you know what I'm saying? I've never in my life seen a Norteño on the streets, bro. Only time I see a Norteño today is...
So let's say you're the exception to the rule, man. Okay, well then you're dumb then. Let's say you do got a family, bills and responsibilities, but you still asking random strangers where they from, banging on people in the hood. Well, then you're just dumb. You're going to lose your life over something stupid. Or you're going to go to jail over something stupid and you got way too much to lose. Like I said, get your priorities straight. The overwhelming majority of those cats, you always going to have your exception to the rule because every now and then you might get a gangbanger who got a good job, but he's still doing stupid stuff because he still want to be down for the hood. So he's going to risk his life and freedom to prove his loyalty to the hood. You got a lot of dumb Negroes like that, for sure. But the overwhelming majority of guys who are doing that are teenagers, guys in their 20s, or just bums who are living off women. Those are the only guys who got time to be running around asking random strangers where they from. Those are the only guys who got time for that for the most part.
On the internet, or when I was going to the pen, I was seeing them in the pen. I've never seen a Bulldog or North Daniel or none of that on the streets. Never, ever. So I don't know nothing about their politics.
Nah, it makes sense. Makes sense. Now, and you also bigged up. Well, another clip, a part of that clip that went viral was you bigging up, black people across the other side of the country, like say from Texas towards the East Coast.
These dudes in LA, they look at Crips and Bloods don't have no kind of no kind of, how should I put it? Like, if you look at the Hispanics, right? You look at the Mexican mafia and you look at the Sudanos, they hold branding and
yeah, they'll ask Mexicans where they from. Like if they think he from a rival gang, they'll bang on him. Nah, don't get it twisted. They'll bang on Mexicans. Like if they see a Mexican, he look like a gangbanger, they say, "Hey, homie, where you from?" They'll bang on him. They would. The thing is, we're going to be more aggressive towards our people, just like Mexicans are very aggressive towards their own people as well in these ghettos and these neighborhoods, All I'm saying is this, man. Most of these Crips and Bloods who get on here talking, your hood is Mexico now, bruh. You living off some woman and your hood look like Mexico. Get your priorities straight. You got children, homeboy. You in your 30s. You in your 40s. That's crazy. Get your priorities together, homie. Your hood looks like Mexico now. Seriously. Especially if you live on the east side. We all know the east side is Mexico, Tijuana. I bet you Tijuana. I bet you one. Your hood looks like Tijuana on the east side of South Central. But you still got time to gangbang and press other black people. I get it. That's the culture of gangbanging. So you're going to do what gangbangers do. But when you look at the bigger picture, it's stupid. Yeah, this is my hood. Yeah, I got to protect it. Yeah, I got to bang on people that I don't know. I get it. I understand that. I come from LA, homie. I understand the culture. I know what it is. But when you look at the bigger picture, you start to see how dumb it actually is. Your hood looks like Mexico, but you still want to harass random black people you don't know and ask them where they from. But in the meantime, your hood looks like Tijuana, Mexico. I'm just saying.
And logos and everything is attached to Aztec iconography or like Hispanic things. Like they represent the Mexico flag. You know what I'm saying? The North Daniels and the Sudanos represent the Mexican flag. Feel me? You look at their tattoos, it's all Aztec warrior shit. It's like they really care about their race, bro. They mix their race with their gangbanging, bro. So it makes their gangbanging feel like give them something to really stand on and to believe in. Blacks don't have that. We not missing Mexican, African, and our black culture with the Crip and Blood. Crip and Blood is where it stops with these dudes, bro. They don't.
Listen, black people, get this together. Now, even though I said nothing but truth, you're going to have some dumbass gangbanger who's going to try to find a flaw in something I said instead of looking at the bigger picture to say, you know what, he's actually right. Instead of these dumbass Negroes saying that, they're going to look for some type of character flaw. He don't be in the hood. He ain't got no business saying that. Man, shut your dumb ass up, fool. You dumb. And that's the problem. If you analyze everything I said in this live stream, you would say, damn, man, that makes a whole lot of sense. King Supreme was right about that. But you're going to have some dumbass gangbanger who's going to look for any type of flaw he can look for in order to discredit the message, when in reality, everything I said was true. If you do your research on everything I said, you're going to be like, damn, it was rooted in fact. He was actually telling the truth. So what does that tell you? These gang members being their feelings. If they don't like somebody, they'll just disregard the message, even though the guy was telling the truth. But if they don't like you, then they'll make it about you instead of, if they don't like you, they'll make it about you instead of the message. Let's throw out the message and make this personal. That's what they do with Snoopy. Now, Snoopy, I'm not taking up for Snoopy because Snoopy is what he is and he did what he did. But if you think about what Snoopy is saying when it comes to blacks in LA and gang banging in these Mexicans, the man is telling the truth. The man is telling the truth, homie. Anybody that's being honest, anybody with common sense will say, man, you know, I might not like Snoopy personally, but damn it, he's telling the truth. I can't stand Snoopy Badazz, but damn it, he's right about this. See, I ain't got to like you to admit that you're right about something. I don't have to like you to admit that you're right about something. That's how intelligent people operate. That's how intelligent people think. Sometimes you have to say, okay, this is not about the messenger. This is about the message. Is this true? Listen to everything Snoopy said about Mexicans and blacks in Los Angeles and then ask yourself, is Snoopy telling the truth? That's the only thing that matters at the end of the day, not your feelings.
Mix none of our African heritage with this Crip and blood. But the Hispanics, they mix their Hispanic heritage, the Aztecs, the Mayan, all that shit is mixed within their gang banging, bro. They bang their race. Sureño, S-U-R, Southern United Raza. Southern United Race, the race that's united in Southern California. I understand them very well, bro. And I see where the
only thing that matters is Snoopy telling the truth. How you feel about him personally doesn't matter. Is he telling the truth about blacks and Mexicans in Los Angeles? Now, when he says blacks are scared of Mexicans, that's not necessarily true. I mean, I'm not saying everything he's saying is true, but the majority of the stuff that he's saying is true. The majority of it is true. When he said blacks can't start a black hood in the Mexican community, they can't. He was 100% correct about that. Can Mexicans start gangs in black neighborhoods? Yes, they can with no problem. But blacks can't go to East LA and start no blood and Crip set. The Messiahs ain't going for it. Blacks can't go to El Monte and start a blood and Crip set. The Messiahs ain't going for it. Why? Because Mexicans are smart enough to gatekeep their communities. That's why, homie. So most of this stuff that Snoopy is saying is true. You might be able to pick apart a few things that he say, but the majority of the stuff that he said is actually true. And a lot of cats in LA don't want to accept the fact. They don't want to accept the facts because it's coming from Snoopy. But like I said, the messenger don't matter. What really matters at the end of the day is the message. Is he telling the truth or not? That's the only thing that matters, not your feelings. Your feelings don't matter, homie. The truth will be the truth regardless of how you feel about it. Your feelings does not change the facts. You got all these emotional single mother raised males who truly believes that their feelings matter more than the facts. Anytime you want your feelings to matter more than the facts, you're thinking like a female. That's feminine energy. 100%, homie.
Black people lack that. You think a Crip or a blood give a about black and or Africa? You think a Crip or a blood give a about them mother on the slave ship? A Crip in the blood mine is.
Make sure that you guys bless the light button. Anytime a grown man wants his feelings to matter more than the truth, that's feminine energy. See, it's cool when you listen. Feminine energy coming from a woman is cool, but when there's feminine energy coming from a man, that's terrible, despicable. That is terrible, downright despicable. You want your feelings to matter more than the facts. That's feminine. That's what you call an effeminate male. That is what you call a beta male. But you want to pose as this masculine gangbanger, but underneath that damn costume, you ain't nothing but a beta male who thinks like a woman. Matter of fact, you live with a woman and she calls the shots. In reality, you got a bunch of beta males running around in a gangbanger's costume. But in reality, he don't even call the shots at that house he live in. That woman does. Yeah, homie, that woman call the shots where you live at, boy.
So little, he can't think past the block, my nigga. He can't think past the section that's gentrified. And most of these Crips of Bloods is holding on to a memory of that. That's the difference between the Hispanics and the blacks. There is no African heritage mixed with the Crip and blood. It's just Crip and blood. That's where it stop at. But that Serrano shit is layers to that shit. You know what I'm saying? It's layers to that shit. It's like born a Crip, die a Crip. Born a Crip, die a blood. That's it. You're own. You don't get no reward for that. But the Hispanics, they get a reward for being a Serrano. If you put in enough work and you keep it solid, guess what? You get to be from the Mexican Mafia one day. And when you become the Mexican Mafia, guess what else comes? Guess what else perk that unlock? Guess what other features that unlock? You get to tax and gain and make money and be able to take care of your family. Damn, seems like being a Serrano is worth it. But being a black,
nah, they get extorted by the big dogs. It ain't worth it being a Serrano. I understand what you're saying, that there's a goal, but at the same time, they're getting extorted, you know, by people who are dictating to them, people who don't even care about them. You know how many Serranos and Southsiders that's crashed out to prove themselves to their big homies in prison? He didn't crashed out and threw his whole life away because he was trying to impress a bunch of guys with life in prison. But in the meantime, he got a whole wife and kids in the free world who's depending on him to come back home. But instead of him doing what's best for his family and coming back home, he crashes out. Now he's doing a life sentence trying to prove something to a group of guys who's already serving life in prison. So nah, homie, that gang is stupid. I don't care if Mexicans are doing it or if blacks are doing it. At this point, it's stupid. It doesn't make any sense. You're going to crash out and throw your whole life away and serve a life sentence to prove something to a group of guys that's already doing life in prison. But in the meantime, you got a whole wife in the free world and you got a wife and kids in the free world who's depending on you to come home. But instead of you going home, you crash out and throw your life away to prove something to a bunch of guys that's already doing life in prison. How dumb is that? How dumb is that? You want to, in other words, you want to prove yourself to some losers. Their life is already over. If you're serving life in prison, for the most part, your life is over unless you get an appeal or something. But why would I crash out and throw my life away to prove something to a bunch of guys that's already doing life in prison? Make it make sense.
These niggas, it ain't no reward in being a Crip or a blood. There's no reward in it. Hate authority. Hate falling in line. Shout out to the bloodlines in the United Blood Nation. And I'm going to tell you why I'm shouting out.
Man, we're going to wrap this one up, man. I think I didn't went long enough. Hey, man, this one is most definitely worth supporting. Share the content because there's a message in this podcast. It ain't just about me talking about It ain't about me talking about Mexicans. It is, but it's deeper than that. There's a message in this live stream. All you got to do is soak up the game, right? That's all you got to do, and you can get the message in the podcast, homie. I'm gonna get up out of here. Let me tell you guys something. Your neighborhood looks like Mexico. You can't call it a hood no more. It is a barrio now. Your hood is a barrio, homie. Your hood looks like Tijuana. That's the reality, unfortunately. You can run around with all this false bravado and all this fake ass gang pride. You're going to end up in prison with nothing to show for it. Trying to prove yourself to a bunch of losers who ain't going to never get out of prison in the first place. You just threw your whole life away trying to prove it. You threw your whole life away trying to prove yourself to these guys. Meanwhile, they're serving life in prison with nothing to lose. And you just joined them, unfortunately. Man, y'all better wake up and get y'all priorities straight. The majority of these black hoods in LA look like Tijuana, Mexico. The Mexicans outnumber you in your own community now. It ain't a hood no more. It's a barrio. I'm telling you the truth. You can take it to the bank. Peace, love, and blessings. I'm going to get up out of here. I appreciate everybody for tapping in with King Supreme. Make sure that you guys subscribe to the channel. And, oh, yeah, share the content. I'm gone. Peace to my real ones out there, man.